Party's on Fox versus Artigas. Step forward, please.
45-year-old electrician Farrell Fox and his wife Bobby are suing their daughter, 22-year-old Jill Aragus, for the cost of the wedding and not inviting them.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, this is case number 15 on the calendar in the matter of Fox versus Aragus. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir, ma'am.
This is your daughter.
Yes, correct.
And your stepdaughter. Is that right?
17 years.
And your father and his wife raised you.
Yeah.
You decided to get married.
Yes,
to
Your
you.
Honor.
And you said you would pay for the wedding.
That's correct.
And you made some payments towards things, that deposits and stuff towards the wedding. You gave your daughter some money in cash. Is that right?
No.
Never gave you any money in cash to pay for things for the wedding?
She gave me a check for $500 one time, and I gave her everything back that was bought.
What did you buy with it?
A cake knife, goblets, garter belt.
Whatever, you said you gave it. But
Yeah.
the money that you say you laid out towards this wedding was what, $1,700?
$1,735.
And then you had a falling out with your daughter.
Sort of. She walked away. We don't know, actually.
Yeah. She didn't really elaborate on the reason that she decided to turn her back on us.
And the wedding was canceled.
Yes.
And they went and got married someplace else.
That's right.
Without us.
Inviting you, which
Correct.
hurt you very badly.
That's right.
So you want the money back.
We do.
It's not a very difficult legal case. You didn't lend her the money. There was no agreement for her to pay you back the money. What's your first name?
Jill?
Curious, Jill. From your vantage point, what happened with your parents that caused you to get married and not invite them?
Bobby decided...
Bobby is your stepmom.
Yes. She decided that she didn't want to support the wedding anymore because she didn't feel that we were ready to be married, and she said she wasn't going to support it anymore. So we went and
Tell
got
me
married
about that
without
conversation.
That was a conversation with me, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Step up. That was a conversation with you,
Yes, Your Honor.
not with Jill.
No, Your Honor.
So tell me about it.
I was in Quantico, a military training, and I called like every other day. And on one of those phone calls, she wanted to talk to me, Bobby that is, and she was in a very harsh tone, told me how did I expect to support her, and I simply tried to tell her that I would have enough money once we were married to support her. We wouldn't be rich or anything, but we'd be fine. And she just said that until she saw a financial plan in writing, that we would not be able to get married, and she would no longer support it if we did not show her that financial plan. And
Okay. Bobby, tell me what you remember of this conversation.
I remember it clearly, Your Honor. My daughter had no food. She was coming to us with no food. She had no gas.
Was she living on her own?
Yes.
Okay.
And she was at our door constantly.
Okay.
And it was agreed when said she was getting married that, okay, now we'll pay for the wedding. You're old enough, you support yourself. Anyway, her car broke down. He left her. He's nowhere to be found. He's in the Army. I
Well,
realize
he's in
that.
the Army.
Not his fault. But,
Believe me,
but they
Uncle
planned-
Sam knew where he was.
Right, exactly. But the idea was we were upset because they planned it around the time he wasn't around. You plan a wedding together, that's the fun
So
part.
tell me about this conversation you
Okay,
had
the
with your mom.
conversation went, Jill doesn't have any food, where is the money going? You took $500 that we gave for her. She said that he had spent it on his friends over the weekend that he came to visit with her, and that we need that money back. Anthony says, I don't know what you're talking about, there's no money. I believe my daughter. The other thing was, I said, well, she's trying to pay child support, and I named off a few other things, and he said, she's not paying child support, she has plenty of food, she must be lying. Well, then a few days later, I went in, and her and her girlfriend were there, and I mentioned to her girlfriend about the conversation with child support, and her girlfriend says, well, actually, technically, she doesn't pay child support. She sends them clothes. And it irritated me because the kid's in Stockton. She doesn't know whether he needs his clothes. And I said, Jill, if you had any conscience, you would postpone the wedding until you can afford to pay support. But it's up to you.
So, Mrs. Fox, it was your understanding that your daughter because of her financial circumstance and her intended, they were really not ready to get married. And you let them know that, right? And the two of you got angry, I assume, and decided, hell with the wedding, we'll go off and get married without them. You have a child? How old is your child?
He's almost 4.
And I assume from what your mother tells me that he lives with someone else.
With his father.
How long has he lived with his father?
Almost a year, or about a year.
Do you visit with him? How often?
Every 2 or 3 months.
Where are you living now?
In California?
And are you in the military?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm in the Marine Corps.
What about you? What are you doing?
I'm attending college right now.
You're attending college full-time? Which college?
Copper Mountain College in 29 Palms, California.
What kind of college is that?
It's a junior college.
Who's paying for college?
I got a waiver because I don't make enough money to pay for the classes.
Why aren't you working?
I'm going to work as soon as this semester's over.
Why aren't you working now?
I don't know.
Listen to me. Expensive lesson, it cost you $1,700. They're not even ready for a Scheinlin lecture. I can usually tell. I assume that since your grandson,
Whom we're still paying child support for.
well, that must be voluntary.
It's only $50 a month.
But
It
you're
was-
sending that.
Yes, every month.
Do you see him, your
No.
grandson?
Not anymore. She doesn't want us to have anything to do with our grandson.
Why?
She's completely lying about everything.
Just a second.
First of all, she doesn't even have his address. They moved twice since they even known him. So I know they're not sending anything to him.
Oh, I believe that they're sending money.
Okay.
I believe they're sending money. And you have no objection to them visiting with your son?
As long as it's supervised by the father,
Why?
because she's a psycho.
She's a psycho.
She makes up all kinds of stories.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Sir, I don't know if you get it or if you don't get it. She has a problem.
No, she doesn't, Your Honor.
And later today,
Oh, this is one of those things, a Tasmanian devil? Tasmanian devil, how elegant.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Farrell and Bobby Fox are suing their daughter, Jill Aragus, for the cost of her wedding. Jill says her father gave her the money and has no right to ask for it back.
I know that in all probability, you came here expecting for a miracle, not
resort.
necessarily for the $1,700.
That's right.
There's no miracle here yet. I have a sense that you know what part of the problem is. Am I right?
Yeah.
And until your daughter resolves that problem, she's not getting on with her life, and your grandson is probably better off where he is.
Yes, he is. That's true.
Right?
You're right. Absolutely, 100%.
May I present some evidence on her?
Why do you want to produce any evidence, sir? I'm dismissing their lawsuit.
Just for the sake of we're being made to look like we're lying and such. I want it shown that Bobby Fox is not an honest person. I have the proof here that money that she is suing us for, she has already been returned. And what she had told this place that we put a deposit down on, and every other place that she put a deposit down on, was that she had a dog bite on her face and that she needed surgery. And in order to get those surgeries, she needed her deposits back, her non-refundable deposits. And these places, out of sympathy, gave her this money back, and I have the receipt. This lady lies about things.
Just a second. Is that your excuse, sir? Your excuse is that she made up a story to get her deposit back from some places?
No, Your Honor, it's not an excuse. It is a truth, and it just shows that she's not honest, and she's still suing us for this money, and that's not right, that she's suing us for the money that she's already been returned.
What, you gave her back $1,000 in cash?
No, she was giving back...
No, you gave her back $1,000 in cash? Did you give that to her back? The answer is no, you didn't. That's more than half of her claim, sir. I don't know if you get it or if you don't get it. She has a problem.
No, she doesn't, Your Honor.
I've been in this business for a long time. I'm telling you, she's got a problem. This case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
And now the next case.
All parties on Haley versus Diorio. Step forward, please.
22-year-old preschool assistant Megan Haley is suing her ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old carnival worker Michael Diorio, for rent, jewelry, and a damaged car.
This gentleman is a former boyfriend of yours.
Ex-fiance.
He's the father of your child. How old is your child?
She's about 2.5.
And according to your complaint, he owes you for rent from when he was living in your mother's house. He owes you for damage to your car.
Yes.
And a necklace.
Yes.
So let's start with the rent. He moved into your mother's house?
Yes.
And what is this rent from?
The agreement was, my mother said she didn't really want room and board, but since I was pregnant and going to have a child, she said if you give Megan $350 a month, every month, and we'll put it away for the child. He paid for the first 3 months, and then he stopped paying.
He was 17 years old at the time? He can't
17 to 18.
He can't make a binding contract when he's 17 years old, even an oral one, to give you or your mother money. So whatever you think he owes you for money that he was supposed to give your mother towards rent or towards putting away for the baby later, he can't make a binding contract with regard to that. You're paying child support now?
I give her money when I have money, yes.
It's a little girl?
Yes.
I assume that you think she eats when there's food?
No, she eats daily when she's supposed to eat.
Well, then how can you give her money when you have it?
Me, I've been out of work for a while.
I just always have a problem when teenagers decide that one of the cute things that they're going to do during their teenage years is to have a baby. That's just so sad for the baby.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You can't be a fool anymore. You were a fool once, and based upon what I've heard, you continue to be a fool for a long time.
Closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. 22-year-old preschool assistant Megan Haley is suing her ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old carnival worker Michael Diorio, for rent, jewelry, and a damaged car.
Let's get on with this case. Car damage. Let's hear what happened with the car, because I found that rather interesting in this case.
Yes. One day he was supposed to show up for his daughter, and he didn't, and this was like a usual thing by now. So I was pretty upset, and I was out and I was driving, and I saw him pull into a gas station with a few of his friends. So I was mad. So I pull up into the gas station, and I parked my car in front of his like that, like he was pulled at the pump, and I parked here. And we started screaming.
So he couldn't move?
Yeah, well, he was able to go backwards, but he couldn't go forward. So we started screaming at each other. We fought, we yelled, we screamed. And then he's like, move your car. And I said, no. And then he went over my car, and then he kicked it. And he said, now move your car. And I said, I'm not moving my car. And he gets in the car, and he's like, move it. And I said, no. I'm like, you want to leave? Go in reverse. And he took his car, smashed into my car, drove it right into my car, then took off in reverse and left.
Now let's hear your version of these events, sir.
I pulled up into the gas station. She pulled up behind me. I had 3 friends in the car with me.
You must have been on your way to work.
No, this was after work.
Go ahead.
We were hanging out. I stopped to get gas. She told me that she's pregnant. I didn't believe it because her and my brother's ex-girlfriend always came up with this story about if they broke up and they found us with another girl, they'd always say that they were pregnant. So I didn't believe it at first.
Could you please tell me what happened with the car?
I did hit her car.
You hit her car?
I hit her car.
All right. Why did you hit her car? Because you were angry?
Yes. She was. I could not go in reverse. My door was open.
Let me see the bill. What kind of car did you have?
94 Cavalier.
No, don't ask her. What are you asking her for?
Kind of car I had?
You.
Oh, 78 Ford Fairmont.
And you?
I had a 94 Cavalier.
All right. $1,023 to have the car fixed. Necklace is next and last, thank God. Yes.
Well, I bought him a necklace and charm. The charm was a loaner. I let him borrow that, and he never gave that back to me. That he was supposed to give back to me. That's $100. The necklace I bought for him when we were together. And then when we had broken up, he gave it to one of his girlfriends. And I didn't appreciate that. And I wanted it back. And I said, you know, at least get it back from her. You keep it. It was for you. So we got it back. Then we got into another fight, and he gave it to another one of his girlfriends. And then they broke up, and this girl had it for 2 months. And I said, well, I kept asking him to get it back, you know. And he said he wasn't getting it back. And I said, all right, then I'm going to get it back, and I'm going to keep it. And then as soon as I was going to get it, then he went and got it. And then he got another girlfriend and gave it to her. And he kept saying he was going to get it back. And then plus, with this last girlfriend, he also gave her my charm that I lent him.
What about this loaned charm, sir?
No, she did give it to me.
Tell me about it.
One night, me and her were hanging out. This was one of the very few times that we were not fighting. And she told me that first she was buying me a necklace and charm that had my name on it. But then we got into a fight and she got the charm changed to her name. Then when we started getting along again, she went out and got me the attached charm. She bought the charm for me. We got into a fight. She didn't give it to me. We made up, and I saw it. I was playing around with her. I put it on my neck, and I went to give it back to her when she dropped me off, and she said, "Don't worry about it. You could have it."
Could I see
No,
the
I didn't
charm?
say that. I didn't
Could
say
I
you
see
could
the
have
charm?
it.
The necklace is yours, sir. The necklace
No,
she gave
I
you was
told
a
him
gift.
he could wear it.
The necklace she gave you was a gift. You can't get a gift back, madam, even if he gives it to other girlfriends.
And plus, he broke the ear on it now, too.
Oh, this is one of those things, a Tasmanian devil? Tasmanian devil. How elegant. Give this back to him. I think you should keep it. You owe her $1,023, sir, to fix her car. She acted like a fool in blocking you. You had a way of leaving without hitting her car. So you're responsible for that. Do you understand?
Yes.
You're also responsible to regularly pay child support.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
You have a child, you have to act responsibly. This gentleman is never going to run a major corporation. Do you understand? You can't be a fool anymore. You were a fool once, and based upon what I've heard, you continue to be a fool for a long time. Socially, anyway. But you have a responsibility. You better grow up. You made a baby, that doesn't make you a parent. A parent is responsible. Hanging out with your friends is not something that a father does. A father who's not spending time with the child and who's not earning a hell of a lot gets a job doing whatever they can instead of hanging out with their friends so they can take care of their child, and if not, sending the money directly to her. All of it. You open up a bank account and you start putting money away so that your child grow up speaking appropriate English by going to school and being educated and hopefully have a future. Does that sound logical to you?
Yes.
Do it! That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Maybe this will kick into him. He doesn't pay attention to anything else. So I figured maybe this would snap him, make him smart and make him want to care about his daughter.
I love my daughter with all my heart, and when
Then why don't you see her?
I'm able to see her, I am. I do see her.
Parties on Now versus West. Step forward, please.
54-year-old Jim Knoll is suing Gary West, a salesman from Fullerton, California. Jim's son Ty says that while driving his father's new Ford Explorer, Gary's son Jared was horsing around with the four-wheel drive controls and caused $1,300 in damages to the truck.
Order, all rise. Yeah, this is case number 127 on the calendar in the matter of Knoll versus West. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Nowell, you are the owner of a four-wheel drive truck kind of car.
Ford Explorer.
According to your complaint, your 16-year-old son, that's you, sit up, was driving this four-wheel drive truck, and the defendant's son, that's you, was you sit down.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Was a passenger in the front seat. According to your complaint, this young man damaged your car by pressing some sort of a button.
To change it from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive while the car was in motion. Truck was in motion, yeah.
And you say that because of that, there was damage to the car, $1,300 worth.
Yeah, it was in perfect working condition until the boys went for a 15-minute ride to the Del Taco.
Okay. You weren't in the car.
No.
Now up. What's your name?
Kai.
How long have you been driving?
About 2 months.
How long were you driving at the time that you had this young man as a passenger?
A couple days.
Days.
Yeah.
Who else was in the car other than the two of you?
Those two guys, Jeff and Chris.
So there were four of you all together.
Right.
So tell me what happened. You get in the car and your friends get in the car and you decide to take a little spin.
We were going to Del Taco to get dinner, and we were just, driving, and Jared decided he wanted to push the four-wheel drive button. So he kept hitting it, and I asked him to stop, and I told him to stop, and I slapped his hand away and tried to make him stop, but he's bigger than me, and I was trying to drive and do it at the same time, so.
Why didn't you stop the car?
Because I thought he was, I don't know.
Did you have any sense that that would damage the car?
I thought it would do it if he did it enough, but I didn't think it would do that much damage.
You wanted to say something, sir?
Yeah, basically, his friend was in the back seat, and he's not a friend with the defendant, Jared West. And so there's little intimidations, a new group of friends. He was trying to be in that thing, so he didn't just stop. He came home to us and told us when it happened, and that's the first thing he said to us was how disappointed he was that he let us down. He said they should have stopped the vehicle and just kicked him out. That's what he told us, and he was crying.
Right.
He was crying. He knew he didn't do the right thing.
Okay.
But he tried to do the right thing, but he didn't stop the car.
Your name?
Jared West, Your Honor.
So you're driving as a passenger in this car?
Yes, I was.
Do you drive?
Yes.
What kind of a car do you drive?
1993 Pontiac Trans Am.
What were you fooling around with the buttons for?
Well, what he forgot to mention was that on the way to Del Taco, he stopped off and he was driving through a grassy knoll and hopped a couple curbs and stuff. And I figured since he was going over a grassy knoll.
Going over a grassy knoll. What does that look like?
There was like a park type area behind a Save-On drugstore.
Mm-hmm.
And he had jumped over a curb and went onto the grass. And I figured since he was going on the grass and stuff that he might want to be on four-wheel drive. And then he said he didn't want to, he didn't want me to do it. And then it just, I'm sorry to say, it sort of turned into a game after that. And I shouldn't have done it. I realize that.
Don't put your hands up, sir. You weren't there. Did you go over a grassy knoll and go over some curbs when you were driving this car?
Yes.
Why'd you do that for?
I just made a mistake.
So it sounds to me as if both of you boys were acting irresponsibly with this car. Is that right?
Yes.
I agree.
Is that right?
Yes, I agree.
Well, Mr. Knoll, this isn't a very, very difficult situation, sir. Some damage was caused to your car. I assume you have the bills to show me what the damage was. Is that right?
Yes, the car is in
Mr.
perfect
West,
working
I don't even need to
condition,
speak to you.
Yes, you do.
Well, just a second.
Okay.
The reason I don't need to speak to you, sir, is because you originally, according to these papers that I received, spoke to Mr. Knoll, and at that time you said to him, pretty much, that both boys were wrong, and that you were prepared to pay for half the damage that was caused to the car.
I did some
Did you?
brief investigation before I made that offer. After they declined my offer, I had to do some further investigations, which I can show the court now, which show that what my son did not cause damage to that car.
Oh, well, I'd like to hear that, sir.
Here's a copy of the Ford Motor Company manual. And in the Ford Motor Company manual, if I may read it,
Sure.
it says to you, it says, the spin on the transmission transverse case on this 1991 Ford Explorer allows the shift between second high and four-wheel high to be made at any vehicle speed. Your Honor, once the car is engaged in four-wheel drive, the way you disengage this car from four-wheel drive is to back the car up in reverse. So by pressing the vehicle four-wheel drive button once, twice, or many times, it doesn't disengage from four-wheel drive until you back the car up, and that's how it disengages. So once you pressed it one time, it was in four-wheel drive, and it continued four-wheel drive until they later came to Jack in the Box. At that point, they backed up and they heard a ratcheting type sound from the vehicle. That's when it was coming out of four-wheel drive.
Can I see the estimates that you have, please?
May I say something else, Your Honor?
Sure.
Chris is here to identify or to be witness to the fact that Ty has taken this vehicle to different parking lot locations, jumping curbs and parking barriers that he failed to mention to his dad also.
Mr. West, I wasn't there. You weren't there.
Correct.
This young man did something wrong. He's acknowledged that he did something wrong. Your son acknowledged that he did something wrong. They both did something wrong because they were playing around with a very expensive piece of equipment that neither one of them bought or paid for, belonged to the plaintiff. Now, your mistake, Mr. Knoll, was that when you write here, the defendant offered a 50% settlement, which we rejected as a matter of principle since we didn't contribute in any way to the damage. That was a mistake. Your son contributed to the damage. He contributed to the damage in either one of two ways. Either because he, in fact, drove the car recklessly, and or he did not, at the moment that this young man decided to push the buttons on the car that he knew was wrong, he didn't take care of this expensive piece of property the way he should have, which was to stop the car and say, get out of the car. There's nothing to say. Anything that you say, sir, is going to be an excuse, which is wrong.
No, it's the truth. You're listening to some here, and I can't allow that to
Just
happen.
Mr. Knoll,
I just need to have my say, that's all.
I'm not listening to anything. I'm not listening to what Ford Motor Company says, sir. I'm listening to what these two young men said.
Well,
and both of these boys seem to acknowledge that when they took your car out, they both did the wrong thing.
There's some lies over here, though. You haven't allowed him to speak what he saw.
Just a second. I listened to him. Let me tell you what he said, Mr. Knoll.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today,
If you buy them on the black market, you run the risk of getting tickets that are bogus. Now you know that, right?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jim Noel says his 16-year-old son, Ty, was driving his 1991 Ford Explorer when Gary West's son, Jared, unexpectedly threw the truck into four-wheel drive, causing $1,300 worth of damage. Gary says he doesn't believe what Jared did could have caused that kind of damage and refuses to pay for the repairs.
He said, one, he drove the car over grassy knolls, up and down curbs, and he knew that was wrong.
No, one curb.
You weren't there, sir. You better stop making excuses for your son. He seems like a very honest young man. You
So
keep
am I.
making excuses for him, and I guarantee you, you're teaching him a very bad lesson. He's standing here, he's being truthful.
So am I.
No, you're not, because you weren't there. You're making excuses. And if you were savvy and know what was going on, how many children do you have?
2.
How old are they?
25, 16.
25-year-olds, a boy or a girl?
Girl.
Okay. Now you have a 16-year-old son. 16-year-old boys, when they're given a hot car, react differently than 16-year-old girls. So this is your first experience with a teenage son, right? Trust me, I've had 3 teenage sons. They all act like they're 4 years old, especially when they're in a car for the first time. 2 days he's had a license so that he could drive by himself. 2 days, and you give him your car. Stop making excuses for him, Mr. Knoll. The first, put your paper down, sir. Your son did the wrong thing. Without a 2-day trial with experts from Ford Motor Company and without mechanics here who were able to testify as to what the actual damage was and based upon their expertise what caused it, I have to rely on my sense of common sense. And don't say a word. And my sense of common sense is that your son did the wrong thing and that his son did the wrong thing. And the only one who's getting stuck is him because it's his car and he's got to pay the damage. So the damage to the car, and I am one lug nut, let me just look through the rest of these things. Okay. The total damage to the car is $1,248. And, sir, I am awarding you $624, which is 1/2 the cost of the damage. Because I believe that both of these young men contributed to this damage. Both of them did the wrong thing with your precious piece of metal. And next time you won't do it. Do you understand?
I understand.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
What my son did no damage to his car. I have nothing to say to this man. I don't care to shake your hand. I think you're a jerk.
Okay.
And now the next case.
Parties on Shank versus Beckman. Step forward, please.
18-year-old Troy Shank bought Metallica tickets from 26-year-old Robert Beckman. Troy didn't have the cash, so he gave Robert a guitar for collateral. Now Troy claims the tickets were bogus and wants his guitar back.
Mr. Shank, you wanted to see a concert.
Yes.
What concert was it?
It was a Metallica concert.
A what?
Metallica.
Metallica. What is that?
It's a group. Heavy metal band.
Why did you want to see that?
I like them.
Okay. According to your complaint, sir, the defendant here had some tickets for this Metallica
Yes.
concert. You wanted 3 tickets,
Yes.
but you didn't have any money.
Correct.
So you gave him a guitar as collateral for the
Correct.
tickets. What was the purchase price that you agreed on for the tickets?
$50 a piece. I wanted 3, so $150.
And you gave him the guitar.
Correct.
What happened?
It turned out later that the...
You went to the concert.
Yes.
What happened when you got there?
We went to the front. We showed them our passes and stuff, and they said that they were counterfeit, and they questioned us thoroughly where we got them, blah, blah, blah. But they took the tickets from us and didn't let us in. They kicked us out.
That was when you went to present them to the ticket taker.
Correct.
So you asked him for the guitar back?
No, after that night, I came home and paged Robert, and he never called me. I paged him previous lots of times for a numerous of probably 6 months, and he never called me back.
Yes.
Do you want to hear my side now? Okay, what it was is I gave him these tickets and he gave me the guitar as collateral.
I understand that. Let's go back a little further. Where did you get the tickets from?
I purchased them off of a student at Saddleback College.
And what did you pay for the tickets?
I paid $100 a piece for them. And then he wasn't supposed to owe me $150. He was supposed to owe me $350. The problem was he was supposed to be a week before the concert. After the concert, I finally get this letter of court. He calls me and says, well, do you have any, like a VCR or TV or anything you can give me as collateral? I said, why? You know, you didn't, how do I know you didn't get into the show? I got on the show, my girlfriend got on the show, my brother got on the show. How do I know you did not get in?
You may have had somebody who let you in and wasn't looking carefully. They didn't. They had a problem.
I don't understand. I don't understand how they could have a problem.
They had a problem, sir.
Out of all the people that I know that went, everyone got in but them.
When you buy tickets from the concert itself, when you go up to the gate and give them money and buy tickets, then you know you're getting legitimate tickets. If you buy them on the black market, which is from somebody at school, you run the risk of getting tickets that are bogus. Now you know that, right?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I'm not sure yet. A lawyer.
I would suggest you not decide on the ministry, sir.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Troy Shank claims the concert tickets he got from Robert Beckman were counterfeit. He wants the replacement value of a guitar he gave him for collateral.
I believe the fact that you didn't get in with these tickets, and the law is very clear. You had a contract. you were going to pay the money to go to the concert.
Correct.
That's your contract. They didn't get into the concert, and therefore they got nothing in return for their money or their guitar, so you have to give them back the guitar. Do you understand?
I don't have the guitar anymore.
Why not?
I sold it for the money that they owed me.
They didn't owe you any money.
Well, what
Let me see the receipt.
I don't have the receipt.
You don't have the receipt, you don't have the guitar. When did you sell the guitar?
Probably about a month after the concert.
But they buzzed you, they paged you immediately.
Well, that night, I did not have my pager on me. I'd never take my pager to a concert. So, I mean, how would I return it?
You got as many excuses as Carter has pills, sir. I don't want to tell you, unless you straighten out, this isn't the last court you're going to be in. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I do. But the agreement was he was supposed to pay me a week before the concert. He did not pay me my money a week before the concert.
Well, let us assume.
So
let me tell you. Let me tell you why, Mr. Beckman. You're standing there and I'm sitting here. Let me explain why. If I believed your story that the concert tickets were more than what they claim, and if they paged you, you would have called them back lickety-split because you would have thought to yourself, he's calling to make arrangements to pay me the money that he owes me. That's what would have gone on in my head if somebody owed me money. I better answer this page right away because I want to get my money. You, however, didn't have a page, you lost your page, you were busy, it was raining, it was snowing, a whole bunch of other excuses why you didn't return his page. And the truth of the matter is, you knew that there was trouble. Because there's no other reason for you not to have returned this page. All right, so you're guilty as charged. Now, the next question I have is, this bill for $1,000 for a guitar seems to me inflated. So let's talk about it.
Okay. The guitar...
How much did you pay for the guitar, and when?
I paid $748 for it.
Let me see the bill.
I do not have the receipt. My mom is here to testify. She's the one who bought it.
Fine. I'd like to hear from her. You sit down. Could you step up, please?
I have a...
Don't give me A. You have a mother.
Okay.
Mothers, I believe. Tell me your name.
Hi, I'm Anita Shank, Troy's mother.
Did you purchase this guitar?
Yes, I did.
And when did you purchase it for him?
In '95.
How much did you pay for it?
Approximately $800.
He says $748. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Fine. Okay. You look like a nice young man who may have a bright future. Don't try to be a shortcut artist.
Well,
it never pays off, sir.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Sure.
Okay. When I gave him the guitar, it was in a guitar case, and inside that case was a guitar tuner, a guitar pedal, and a metronome, which I have the retail value, and that's why I sued for $1,000. It came over all that stuff that I gave him.
Why did you give him all that stuff?
The guitar was in a guitar case, and the guitar case has like a little pouch. I just keep my guitar stuff in there, and that was the only thing worth value. I just gave him the whole set. So that's why I'm suing for $1,000.
Did it have all of that equipment in it?
I don't know.
What?
I didn't even bother to look in it.
Oh.
I mean, it was just collateral for the tickets, you know?
That's why I was suing
No,
for $1,000.
I understand it was collateral for the tickets, but again, you want me to believe that somebody gave you collateral, you sold it, and when you sold it, you didn't open up the case, didn't show it to anybody.
I looked in it. I mean, it just had like the strap for the guitar and, you know, little whammy things for the guitar and stuff like that.
Do you go to school?
Yes, I do.
College?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah. What is
yes? Yes, Your Honor.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I'm not sure yet. A lawyer.
I would suggest you not decide on the ministry, sir. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff and the amount requested, $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Parties on Thorne versus Mazza. Step forward, please.
Writer Ann Throne says her personal injury lawyer, Steve Mazza, kept most of her $12,000 settlement, paying her less than $2,000.
Order. All rise. All rise, please. Judges, number 49 on the calendar in the matter of Thorne versus Mazza. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have seats, please.
All right, very briefly, Mrs. Thorne, you injured your back and you consulted with the defendant who is an attorney with regard to suing whoever hurt you. You'll tell me about that in a minute. According to your complaint, you signed a retainer agreement with him. The matter was ultimately settled for $12,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you got less than $2,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Out of the $12,000 settlement.
That's right.
So first tell me, how did you injure your back?
The manager of our building shot a bullet through my bedroom wall. And I had just bent over to put some sewing things away, and there was an explosion over my head. And I went like this. I didn't know where it was coming from and fell into the closet door and hurt my back and shoulder.
You were lucky you weren't killed.
Yeah, I traced it one time. It would have gone right through my throat.
So you were lucky.
So I was lucky.
Okay.
Wasn't my time.
And then, how did you find the defendant?
Through a friend. He was recommended to me through a friend. And I went there with my son to ask him if I had a case. And he said, yes, I did. So I said, how much do you think the case would settle for? And he said, $12,000, $13,000. So I said, I would get that. He said, no, you would get $5,000 or $6,000. So based on that, I signed an agreement with him, which he never signed. My signature's on here. He never signed it. He told me to go to Citizens Medical Group. I went there and...
Did you have your own doctor?
No, I didn't.
You didn't have a doctor?
No.
Did he ask you whether you had a doctor?
No, he just said that he works with Citizens Medical Group, so...
You should go to Citizens Medical Group.
So I should go there. And I started treatment right away.
What kind of treatment? With a chiropractor?
3 times a week. Well, in the beginning, the first 2 times, I got ultrasound, massage from the girl, and hot packs. That was the first 2 times. After that, I just got the hot packs. But they continued to charge me for the ultrasound and massage. So after that, we had the deposition. I never saw Mr. Mazza again after I signed the contract. He didn't show up at the deposition. He was not at the arbitration. He settled my case. I didn't know about it. I had no idea he had settled the case until I got a letter from the other side's insurance company. And I wrote him a letter. I said, I had no idea you were closing my case. You were settling it. You know, you didn't call me. I haven't heard from you. The doctor's bill is incorrect. And it was settled.
Could I just have those 2 documents that you gave me? All right. Now, and I want to see, Mr. Mazza, I'd like to see your retainer agreement with the plaintiff, please.
The original retainer agreement, Your Honor?
Yeah, I want to see the original retainer agreement. When did you receive yours?
I got it the same day. He made a copy and handed it to me.
Is there any reason, Mr. Mazza, why you didn't give her a fully executed copy of a retainer agreement?
I believe I did.
No, you didn't. You only gave her one with her signature on it.
I see what the court is holding, Your Honor, but I do believe that she did, in fact, get an executed copy.
My son was with me. Did he sign the copy or did he give me with that?
Just a second. I want to read this over. Well, Mr. Mazza, this indicates that your fee is 33 1/3% of the gross recovery if settled without filing suit or demand for arbitration, or 40% of the gross recovery if suit is filed or demand for arbitration is made.
Correct, Your Honor.
Now, I would like you to, step by step, sir, tell me what you did to get 40% rather than 33 1/3.
What I did, Your Honor, was to determine who fired the weapon. I did an investigation to confirm who owned the property. As Ms. Thorne said, she did not have insurance, medical insurance. She hasn't worked since 1990. She needed medical care. I sent her to Citizens Medical Group, who do not use chiropractors. It's a board-certified internist who, their records are impeccable. They give you daily records of what was done.
Mr. Mazza, is your firm limited to personal injury or is it general practice?
Just personal injury. That's all we do. And if I may continue, Your Honor.
No, I have, my mouth is still moving, Mr. Mazza.
Yes, I see that.
Do you use this particular medical treatment group regularly in your practice?
The term regularly, no. This doctor is my own doctor.
Mr. Mazza, I have a problem, sir. Let me tell you what my problem is.
Yes, Your Honor.
My problem is that this lady, who was the injured party, settled her lawsuit for $12,000, and she got less than $2,000. That gives the legal profession, sir, a really foul name. Now, nobody disputes that lawyers' usual retainer agreements are a third. And what I asked you is what you did, because we haven't gotten to the medical bills yet, because that you may have to take up with your own friend who runs this clinic where you sent her, where they put a hot pack on her shoulders for $4,000. But I want you to tell me what you did so that your percentage of this recovery was increased from 33 1/3% in good conscience to 40%.
In good conscience, Your Honor, there's a contract here.
No, sir.
I filed the lawsuit.
No,
Yes.
sir, there isn't a contract.
There is a contract.
No.
I have two original signatures on, and you're holding it, Your Honor, number one. Number two.
No, sir. She never received a contract. She received her own signature on a retainer agreement.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She received great representation. And if you would let me finish, I would be able to articulate to you why she should be happy and grateful.
And later today,
if you move your head up and down, you catch it in the light, you can see it.
If I move my, just a second, so you're telling me that in order to see this tint, I gotta move my head up and down.
real cases, real people, Judge Judy. Ann Throne received $1,930 from a $12,000 settlement. Attorney Steve Mazza says he had to pay her medical bills.
There is no way she could have possibly gotten this partially executed contract unless you gave it to her. No way.
There is a way, Your Honor.
Well, tell me how.
There's many reasons why that could happen without casting dispersions on me.
I'm not casting dispersions on you, sir. What I'm telling you is you had her sign the agreement, you slipped it in your file, and when you saw that it was not signed by you, you signed it. That doesn't mean you're not entitled to be paid, sir. You are entitled to be paid for your work. What I'm taking issue with is that you settled this case for $12,000, and she got $1,900.
You won't let me answer the question, Your Honor.
So then answer the question. Tell me what you did that you feel warranted an increase from 1/3 to 40% of the recovery. That's first. That was my question at the beginning.
I litigated this case and prepared it for a jury trial.
You did not
We
try it.
arbitrated this case.
Were you there?
No, a lawyer from
Just a minute. Were you present during the arbitration?
No, a lawyer from my office was.
He wasn't from your office.
Yes, he was.
When was the arbitration in this case?
It was February 7th, 1996.
In 1996, sir, how many lawyers were in your office?
2.
Why weren't she retained you?
She retained my office, Your Honor, and that's what it says in the contract. She retained my office. She received great representation. And if you would let me finish, I would be able to articulate to you why she should be happy and grateful.
Oh, Mr. Mazza, you are never going to convince me, sir.
Well, you won't let me speak.
You are never going to convince me, sir, that she should be happy and grateful.
You won't let me speak.
I don't know who you're used to appearing before, but when a lawyer is in my courtroom, when I speak, the lawyer has to be quiet. That's one of the advantages of being. That's one of the advantages of being the judge.
It's a two-way street, Your Honor.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's easy to get down on lawyers. It's the thing to do, and that's what she was doing. She didn't want to have someone talk back to her. As you could see her attitude as she ran from the bench. I guess she's not used to being challenged by someone that can go toe-to-toe with her intellectually.
I think she's very fair. She's also from Brooklyn, where I was born. I'm very happy that I won, and I give justice two snaps.
And now the next case.
Parties on Brunges versus Aaron. Step forward, please.
17-year-old student Thomas Brunges says 16-year-old Errol Aaron jumped on the hood of his father's 1985 El Camino, denting it. Errol says they were both just joking around and both should be responsible.
You did a little dance on the hood of his car.
No, ma'am. What happened was we were in the parking lot, and he got into his car, and we were kind of joking around. And he kind of came towards me, and I was joking. He saw me, he started laughing. So I kind of, joked around. I kind of went up to the car and kind of...
No, look over here.
Okay.
Look over here. He pulled up to you. You were joking around in the parking lot.
Okay, right.
And he stopped about 3 feet away from you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And let me hear slowly what you did while you're looking over here.
Okay, so what happened was he stopped 3 feet short, and then I walked up to the car, put my hands in the front of the car, and I put my right foot on, and then my left foot on.
Just a minute. You put your hands on the hood.
Right.
And then you lifted up
my right foot.
Your right foot, really high.
Yeah.
And you put it on the hood of the car.
Right.
And then you pushed with your hands?
Well, no, because then I just kind of stepped with the left foot and just kind of got...
Well, you sort of have to push. You have to push with your hands, right? So in order to give yourself a little leverage and you got the other foot on the car.
Right. And so then I just got off. And then that was pretty much it. And then so that night when I was at work, he called me and he said that, that there was 2 dents in the car and that I had to pay for it. So Monday was the next day when we saw each other at school, and I was pretty reluctant to pay because before I saw him actually, like during like zero period, which is, first, while he was in class, I kind of went to look at the car and I didn't see anything. And so after that, I said I didn't want to pay for it because I didn't see anything.
How old are you?
I'm 16.
Okay.
And so later on, I asked him, it's not going to be over $250, is it? Because I have to work, I'm going to probably have to pay for it. And he said, no, it wouldn't be. And so like 2 or 3 days later, his dad got the estimate, one for $587, one for like $525, and then he said that his friend could do it for $400 or $450.
So you just thought that the estimates were too high?
Right.
You tell me about this event in the parking lot. The 2 of you were in the parking lot, you get into your car.
Yes, I was going down to the gym and I made a left in front of the administrative office, and he was walking across. And I pulled up and stopped in front of him. And I think he was more showing off to his friend Ted, because he was in this truck parked. I was like, my car was here and he was here. And he looked back at his friend Ted in the car.
How close did you come to him?
I say I was 3 to 5 feet, no less than 3 by far. I was plenty of room.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I mean, I saw that all the time. Do you know what I'm talking about, Bird? You know, they take that little plunger, right? Come on, give me a break.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old student Thomas Brunges says 16-year-old Errol Aaron jumped on the hood of his father's 1985 El Camino, denting it. Errol says they were both just joking around.
Now, you have pictures of the damage to this car?
Actually, we bought the car so you could look at it.
Do you have photographs?
No, we don't.
Let me take a look at the estimates that you got. Whose car is this? Is this your car?
It's my dad's, but I drive it.
So let me understand this. What's the whole issue? The whole issue is you feel as if you should be responsible, but that the estimates were too high?
Well, half is responsible because if he didn't come toward me, I was going to go and jump on the car. I mean, that's the whole thing. But we were just joking around. He kind of came.
I wasn't joking around.
Just a second.
And he kind of came towards me, and then, he was laughing, so was I, and just kind of happened.
If he came towards you in the car and stopped, and he was 3 feet away from you, show me with your hands how far away he was. 3 feet.
About that much.
That far away. So he was joking around, you walk around the car and case over, right? Then you're not here. You don't jump up on the hood of his car. He's not responsible. You are. It was bad judgment.
The reason that estimate might be a little on the high side is also because of the type of paint job that's put on there. It's a two-part application. They don't just spray it with the color.
Why did where he stepped on the car, did it break the paint?
No, it just, there's two dents. There's a dent on the right side of the
So
hood.
they use one of those plunger things and pull it out. I mean, I saw that all the time. Do you know what I'm talking about, Bird? You know, they take that little plunger, they, right? Come on, give me a break.
Your Honor, can I
Get
say
a
something?
street mechanic, right? Street guy comes over and he goes, and he pulls out a little dent. What are you making a big deal about this for? Huh?
Your Honor, you can't. On one of the dents, it's on the. It's on a bevel of a corner, and you can't pull it out.
Well, let's go take a look and see how terrible these dents are. You have your car outside, sir?
Yes, it's
Yes?
outside.
All right, let's go take a look.
We're doing the judge.
I think it's going
All right.
Yeah.
Show me.
If you look into the light, you can see a dent right there from 1 foot.
And there's a, on this bevel right here, there's a dent right there.
See the dent right there, right in there? If you move your head up and down and you catch it in the light, you can see it.
If I move you just a second. So you're telling me that in order to see this dent, I got to move my head up and down?
Well, certain angles, certain angles it shows up better.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but that's what you're telling me. In order to see these dents, I got to move my head up and down.
No, well, some
it's in the
people,
sun, you see it really well.
some people need to stand. If you stand right here and look at that angle right there, you can see that there. And if you stand right here, you can see there's a significant dent right there also. When this car was painted, I paid $1,200 for the paint job. So
They didn't scratch it, did they?
no, that's somebody
What? That's something else. That's what?
else. Somebody else did
Somebody else did that. Did you find out who did that?
that. Yeah, he's paying for it.
And he's paying for that.
Right.
Right?
That's a whole different issue.
Well, I understand that. That's a whole different issue. So this is also on your car. These two big scratches. This I don't have to bob my head up and down. I can see that
No,
without even
that's-
bobbing my head.
You're
right?
absolutely right. Yes.
Absolutely. Let's go take a look at.
If you stand right here,
Just a second. I got another question for you.
Okay.
See over here? See the scratch that goes about
Right.
24 inches?
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
He didn't do that, did he?
No, that was.
Somebody else is going to pay for that too?
Yes.
We are.
We are.
Well, no, excuse me. This goes the whole length of this car.
Right.
Right?
I was at the,
Whole length of this car. Right?
right.
Right. Somebody else. When did that happen?
That happened about 3-4 months ago.
Before or after this dance on the car?
Before that.
Before that?
Yes.
Let's go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
I'm going to get these folks a copy of my book. Let me tell you why. I went outside and there are two minuscule dents in the hood of this car, neither of which damaged the paint. There's no scraping or anything else on the hood of the car. However, a lot of these estimates that they have to do with repainting this whole car because this
No,
is...
that's not true.
Just a second.
That's a whole separate issue, though, Your Honor.
Oh, no.
Yeah, yes,
I'm going to tell you why.
Well,
I'm
they're
from New York.
they're
New Yorkers are used to little tiny dings on cars, right? Maybe it would cost you $100 to get somebody. Maybe if somebody was overcharging you, it would cost you $100 to get somebody to pull out those tiny little dings in the car. And you're not going to get them to pay for the scratches that somebody else did on this car.
We had no
So
intention.
judgment in this case is for the plaintiff for the amount of $100. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out. I'll be back up to your right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You don't want to get down on your knees and thank her for protecting your 4-year-old from this crack-abusing felon father.
No.
You're going to pay.
Judge Judy Justice.
Obviously, Judge Judy has no idea what the cost of bodywork is, and maybe her subscription to her glasses need to be updated.
Tolbert, step forward, please.
Restaurant manager Phyllis Keeman says her employee, 16-year-old Bethany Tolbert, called her foul names and split her head open with a telephone. Bethany claims it was an accident.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 184 on the calendar in the matter of Keeman versus Tolbert.
Thank you, Bird.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir. Ma'am, have a seat.
According to these papers, Ms. Keeman, the defendant, this young lady, assaulted you at a fast food restaurant where you are a manager and she was an employee.
Correct.
When did this happen?
On December the 26th, approximately 8 p.m. in Cincinnati, Ohio, on Vine Street.
How long had you been working at this restaurant?
I was a substitute manager, but I had worked there maybe 3 or 4 times. My main home as a manager was in Tri-County.
And how long have you been working for this establishment?
2 years, 3 years approximately.
And what kind of work did you do there?
I was just on the register.
You mean you were a cashier?
Uh-huh.
How long had you been working there?
I had worked there for about 3 months, and then I was like on a leave. I didn't work for about a month, and then I had just came back. It was like my 3rd day back.
3rd day?
Mm-hmm.
Had you met her before?
No.
So, Ms. Keeman, would you tell me what happened on this day in December?
On December the 26th, I was a substitute manager at Hardee's Restaurant, and we always have a main duty of like working on the cash register and secondary duties, sweep the floor, get iced tea ready, and such priorities. I had given her task to do, and she
you
was
mean the
on the
defendant?
phone. Beth Tolbert.
You're her mother?
Yes, I'm her mother. And I gave Beth Tolbert her duties, and she was on the phone. I came back a little bit later after cleaning the restrooms and doing some of her chores, and she was still on the phone. And I repeated that she must get off the phone. I thought maybe I'll give her a break because I'm a benevolent manager. And I gave her another chance to please do her duties and get off the phone. She stated she wanted to call her mother, but I don't know who she called. And there was a lot of profanity and a great deal of yelling on front line. As a manager...
Okay, so let me stop you right there. Yelling and profanity by whom?
Beth Tolbert.
And who was she yelling at?
Somebody on the telephone telling them what a mean vulgarity word I was, making her do something other than just ring on the cash register.
And where is the phone situated as opposed to where the patrons are?
The phone is situated by drive-through, and she was on front line. She had to go over and use the phone behind an wall, like, to use the phone.
But she was supposed to be on the cash register.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So she couldn't be on the cash register if she was on the phone?
That's correct.
Well, after there was a lot of profanity, did she finally hang up the phone?
I asked her to please clock out. I gave her a choice.
Clock out meaning?
Meaning that she should leave the restaurant, and that's all. She would be paid for the day that she could go home. She had a choice, either get off the phone or clock out. So I finally asked her to clock out. I said, if you don't leave, I will have to call the police, because at that point it's criminal trespassing. And we are taught in our managerial duties that you exercise this to the employees, that they do have other duties, and that when they're off the clock they could use the phone, but not when they're supposed to be doing their work assignments. That's my managerial right. And I asked her, I said, would you please clock out? And she went to the cash register to clock out. She said, give me that phone, I'll call the police. And I had it up to my ear and was ready to call the police. And I faked it the first time, hoping she'd shape up and quit the profanity.
What do you
that
mean
would be
faked
the end.
it?
I called the police, but I didn't get to talk to anybody because one of the employees unplugged the receiver and I was talking to no one. And by that time she said, give me the phone, I will call the police. And I saw her heave back with the receiver of the phone, and I ducked. But unfortunately, I did not duck far enough. And I was hit with the phone up here. I didn't want to get it in the eye, and I saw it coming. And there was blood all over in my...
Right in the front of your head?
Yes, see the scar.
Could you step up, please? My eyes aren't as good as they used to be.
Likewise.
All right, there's about a scar that appears to be about 2.5 inches long. This is the mark right here that you're talking about?
Yes, and it was 3 deep, and I had a picture.
Did you see this? Did you see the scar on her forehead?
No, I haven't.
Well, would you step back, Bird? Would you accompany the plaintiff and let the defendant and her mother look at that scar?
Step over here.
Okay. You had stitches in your head?
Yes.
How many?
I had 12 to 14 on the top layer, and they told me it was 3 deep. I have no idea what the total is. I have medical reports.
How long were you out of work?
I was out of work. I was told to stay off by 3 weeks. I was told after 8 days.
Don't tell me what you were told. Just tell me how long you stayed out of work. 3 weeks?
4, 5 days.
And tell me what kind of pain, if any, you had in your head.
I have never had headaches in my life, and I have one every day since I have been hit. I am also losing my eyesight in this eye, which the doctors are watching me very closely. I have all my medical reports, Your Honor.
Now, you were arrested, is that correct?
No.
Were you taken into police custody at any time?
No, I wasn't.
Are you telling me that there was no trial in any other court? Because according to these papers, there was a trial in another court.
Yes, there was a trial, but I'm saying I didn't get arrested or anything. The police didn't take me.
How did you get to court, madam?
We got a letter in the mail.
It was a hearing. She filed a juvenile complaint. Ms. Keeman did it. And that's where we went to court for a hearing, an assault charge.
Okay, well, that's a trial. Hearing is a trial.
Yes.
It's just that you are 16, is that right?
17.
17?
She was 16 when it occurred.
All right, let's hear your version of what happened.
Okay. When I got there, Phyllis was with another manager there. And she was a really nice person when the other manager was there. And like if you get a break or something, no matter what, when people come in, you have to go back to the register. And so and I had a sandwich, and the whole time I had to keep coming back and forth. I couldn't go.
Couldn't go where?
I couldn't go to my break. I couldn't eat my sandwich because people kept coming in. So then the manager had finally left, and there was no more. It was like we were completely dead. And I went ahead and ate my sandwich. And then Phyllis, she got mad because she didn't know that I had asked the other manager right before she had left or anything. And so that that's kind of how the attitude started towards me. And the phone rang, and she answered the phone, and it was for me, and she told me I could use it. And I got on it, and
Who was on the phone?
It was just one of my friends. He asked, "What are you doing?" "Nothing, working." And then she runs back, "Get off the phone now. You can't be sitting here talking about me and all this stuff." And I hadn't said a thing about her. And, I got off the phone. And I was told to sweep behind the counter. So I said, okay. And while I was sweeping and everything, she was over by the bathrooms just screaming something at us. And we couldn't hear her. And, And
what do you mean you couldn't hear? If she was screaming, how could you not hear her?
We could hear her yelling, but we couldn't hear what she was saying.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's allowed to give you an attitude, madam. She's the boss, applesauce.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Restaurant manager Phyllis Keeman is suing her former employee Bethany Tolbert, claiming she split her head open. Bethany says it was an accident.
You said she was screaming at you, but how do you know she was screaming at you if she was screaming at all if you couldn't hear her?
No, I'm saying that she was yelling. She was just yelling something towards us when we didn't know what she was saying. And then she came up to the front. She finally came up, and she got directly in front of me, and she screamed it again. And so
she screamed what?
She screamed to get over and mop this effing floor now. And so I heard her, but I said, "What you say?" Because I was kind of upset because she was right in my face. And so she said, "Yo, you didn't hear that?" And so she repeated it again. And I told her I was sweeping the floor, and I said, you really don't have to speak to me that way. And she said, "Oh, I'll talk to you how the F I want to talk to you," and all this stuff. And so that's when me and her started arguing. And so she told me to clock out. And the thing with that job is that on any hour, there's like a print off that goes off, and it's 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after, and you can't clock out within that 10 minutes. And it was 8 o'clock on the dot, and I couldn't clock out. And I told her, and she said, so she picked up the phone and said she was calling the police. Then she hung up the phone. She got on the phone and said she had an insubordinate employee and she wanted her arrested, and hung up the phone. That's all she said. And so, I kept telling her, I couldn't clock out. She's like, "Get out of here!" She's screaming and everything, acting like I was gonna hurt her or something. And I'm like 12 feet away from her. So I said, well, look, I said, you need to call them back and tell them that I have 5 minutes, and I'll leave in 5 minutes, because we have always been we were told that we're not allowed to let any managers clock on ringing on our registers. We're not allowed to let anybody clock us out, and no matter what the reason is. So I couldn't clock out, and I didn't know her either. And so, I said, well, I'll call them. I said, I'll call them back. And so I went and I picked up the phone. The phone was on the receiver. I picked up the phone. She grabbed me. and started shaking me. And that's how we were pulling each other like this. And she finally pulled the phone out of my hand, and that's how she got hit.
Show me with your mother how that happened. Let's say your mother is the plaintiff. Show me, Miss Tolbert, because that's what you said in your answer. You just showed me this motion that you were tugging over the phone. So show me how she got hit on the top of the head.
Okay, she's shorter than me. It's like the way.
Use the cup as the phone.
All right. Okay, so this would be the phone, and I'm holding it. And I'm pulling it like this, and she's holding me here.
Just, would you do that, please?
What I do? I grab the phone.
Okay, she's grabbing me here and on my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And we're pulling back and forth like this. And that's how she got hit, and she finally pulled it out of my hand.
That's how she got hit, on the top of her head?
Yeah, she's shorter than me.
Now, you weren't there, is that right?
That's correct, I wasn't.
Do you know anything about this case?
Yes, ma'am.
From your daughter?
From the testimonies that I've heard, all of them.
I've heard the testimony. I don't have to rely on anybody else's hearing the testimony of the witnesses. I'm relying on common sense. You do not get, if you're struggling over a telephone, a gash to the top of the head that's 3 inches long. You don't get that. I've heard this lady testify. It doesn't sound to me as if this is the kind of lady who is going to use the F word over and over again in speaking to your daughter. I want to tell you that. Just doesn't strike me that way. Now, I have just a couple of other questions for you. You took a leave, you said, from this job for a month. Why?
I was sick.
What was the matter with you?
I have migraines, and I was having some stomach problems and stuff.
How many jobs have you had?
I've been working since I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
So, one job I worked at for 2 years.
What happened to that job?
I quit.
Why?
Because it was old to me. I found a better one.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's a very good actor, and that's what her really job should be.
And later today,
Just a second. I know what your argument is. I'm very smart. This is not a complicated case. You know, this is not the Scopes trial.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Restaurant manager Phyllis Keeman is suing her former employee, Bethany Tolbert, claiming she split her head open. Bethany says it was an accident.
You assaulted this lady. She was your boss. Let me tell you something about bosses. And your mother, who takes your side in this case, even though she wasn't there, better listen very carefully. Life is sometimes not fair. And when you raise children, you're supposed to raise children to understand that there are certain authority figures. Like you start out when you're a teacher in a school. As a teacher in a school, my mother always taught me that right or wrong, the teacher was right at that moment. When the teacher told me to do something, I did it. I may come home and complain to my mother later, but I don't tell the teacher to go take a walk. I learned that when I was 6, and I learned that when I was 20, and I taught that to my children. Is that what you learned, Bird?
That's what I learned.
And then you go through life and you have bosses. And sometimes you have good bosses, and sometimes you don't have good bosses. And sometimes they're nice people, and sometimes they're not so nice people. But while they're your bosses, you listen to them. And if you don't like it, you say, I don't like this job, I'm leaving. What happened with your daughter is you didn't teach her that right from the beginning. Probably said to her, you stand up for what you think is right to your teachers when you're 6 and to your boss when you're 16. It's not what happens. I've gone through life having a lot of bosses that I didn't like, who told me a lot of stupid things. And I knew that they were stupid when they told them to me. I did them until I got disgusted, and then I said, I'm going to find another job. That's what you do.
Excuse me, can I say something?
Sure.
Okay, I had no problem with whatever, when she was telling me to do things, I had no problem doing that. I mean, I've been working since I was 14. I can go ahead and do the work.
Are you telling me that she cursed you out using the F curse word?
She sure did.
I don't believe you. What do you think about that?
What do
I don't
think
believe
about
you.
it?
I don't believe you. Just like when you said in your answer, when she said to you, put down the phone or go and sweep the floor, you said to me, what did you say to me? Even though you told me just now that you heard every word that she said. You gave her an attitude.
She gave me one.
She's allowed to give you an attitude, madam. She's the boss, applesauce.
I know she's the boss, but she can't curse at me like that.
She's the boss, applesauce. So you better work really hard because she's got a 3-inch scar, she's got headaches, you had no reason to assault her, she's suing you for pain and suffering, and she's going to get the money for pain and suffering that she's suing for. Judgment in this case is $5,000 for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
And I feel sorry for the other employees that have to work under her.
She's going to hell for all his lying. That's about it.
And now the next case.
Parties on Rusk versus Nelson. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Brandon Rusk says he and 5 other seniors rented a limo for their prom. He's suing 18-year-old Krista Nelson, claiming she didn't pay her share.
Not a difficult case. You had a senior prom, a senior ball. You decided to take a limousine.
All right, on May 31st, like you said, we had our senior ball. There were 3 couples, me, my girlfriend, Krista, her date, and...
Krista?
Krista, her date.
Your date, Jeff, according to your papers.
Yes.
And her witness, Jason, and his date.
And this gentleman?
Yes.
So, did you know her date, Jeff?
No, I did not.
Who did you make your arrangement with to share the cost of this limousine?
It was me, Krista here, and Jason's date.
But that's not true because it was 6 ways. You happened to be paying for Colette, and Katie happened to be paying for Jason, but Jeff.
Oh, just a minute. It's getting too complicated. Mr. Rusk, you paid for the whole limousine.
Yes, I did.
And it came out to $175 per couple.
Yes, it did.
Correct. And my date was supposed to pay for it.
Just a second. You got your money from Jason.
Jason, yes, I did.
He gave you the $175.
Yes, he did.
Your problem is, Miss Nelson says that she's only paying for part of the limousine because she had a lousy time at the prom with Jeff. She's not talking to him anymore. And he didn't pay for his share. Is that the case?
That's the case with me, but my argument is that I never knew her
Just a second. I know what your argument is. I'm very smart. This is not a complicated case. You know, this is not the Scopes trial. When you made arrangements for this limousine, did you speak to him or did Jeff speak to him?
I spoke to him.
Stop! Say nothing else. Just answer my questions. You spoke to him. Did he ever meet Jeff before the prom? When?
Yes. We met at Columbia Pool for a while, and then we went over to Colette's house for a while. He knew, it was clear that Jeff was paying for our portion of the limo.
Just a second. The arrangement was that each of the 3 couples would pay, and you made that initial arrangement with him. Is that right?
Correct.
And then you had a conversation with your date, Jeff.
Right.
Right. Just a minute. Right. And your conversation with your date, Jeff, was, are you going to pay for this limousine?
Correct.
And Jeff said yes.
Right. And I told Brandon.
That had nothing to do with Brandon. You're Brandon, right?
Yes,
Brandon Rusk. Your original agreement with him was, when he arranged for this limousine, that your third was going to be paid.
Yes.
You then had a conversation with Jeff.
No. From the very beginning, we all sat down and made plans together that we were going to go. We contacted the limo place, everything.
Who's we?
All of us. We all got together and did it besides Jeff. Jeff was the only one who wasn't there.
Right.
But I told Brandon from the beginning that Jeff would be paying, that I was going to get Jeff to pay for our portion of the limo.
That's your problem.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Don't you hear what you're saying, madam? Jeff wasn't there when you made the arrangements. He relied on the fact that you, as his friend, were going to be responsible for a third of it. You later spoke to Jeff, because Jeff wasn't there when you made these arrangements, according to your own statement. Look, you gotta pay for your portion. You wanna sue Jeff? Sue him. He shouldn't be out the money.
And I agree.
Good. $175 for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
The night of senior ball, it ended up being a bad experience, and he basically left all night long, and I wasn't with him at all.
We went through the senior ball as planned, you know, had a good time except for Krista and her date, but Krista had a good time on her own. And
Can we get a hug, Krista?
Yeah.
is on Myers versus Cave. Step forward, please.
Carol Myers says talent agent Brian Cave owes her for rent. Brian is countersuing Carol for false arrest.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 22 on the calendar, the matter of Myers versus Cave. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Ms. Myers, you lived with 2 other roommates, according to your complaint.
Yes.
And there came a time when you were leaving the country for 6 months?
6 to 8 months.
Going to Ireland?
Yes.
And you decided to sublet your share of the house.
Correct.
You sublet it to the defendant. According to you, he owes you money.
Yes.
And there is a counterclaim by the defendant because he said that you had him arrested illegally. So, how much was his share of the rent?
$425 plus 1/3 of the utilities.
And he was supposed to be there, according to this, for 6 months, maybe 8.
Correct.
How many months did you actually live there, sir?
I actually lived there for May, June, July, for about 4.5 months.
Is that right?
Yes.
And how many months rent did you pay?
I paid 3 months rent.
Show me.
Show you? First of all, Your Honor, for June's rent,
show me.
I have a tape recorded cassette of her saying on my answering machine that I paid June's rent. That we were square on June. Do you care to hear it, Your Honor?
Just a second. Well, it may not be an issue.
I don't know.
Wait, did he pay June's rent?
No.
He owes you for June's rent?
Full rent, yes.
No, I don't.
All right, sir. Let me hear the tape, please, of the statement that she made that you're square on June.
Brian, it's Carol. Okay, I've called my bank again. They did find a deposit, and I've gone over my statement for $120, June 27th. So we're square on June. You know, you did what you said. You still owe me the rest of June rent. There, however, was no deposit for $75 found. July, I'm trying to figure out with an arrow.
Just a second. Is that the what you want to be? We're square on June's rent?
We're square on June's rent.
No, that's not what it says, sir. Didn't you hear the rest of it?
Well,
just a second. You're putting it away very fast. That's not what it says. It says that you were correct, that you did in fact make the $125 deposit.
She is suing me for full June's rent.
Listen to me.
Okay.
That's not what you told me. You told me that she said she was square for June's rent. That's not what the tape recording said. It said the bank said that they received $125. Let's get moving with this, please.
I did make subsequent payments to her bank, which she obviously cannot find. She says that
Now, why don't you show me, sir? If you make payments to a bank, you have receipts.
I don't.
Show me.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I do not have the receipts. But I am being honest with you, and I will tell you the truth.
Well, you weren't just honest with me, sir.
Yes, I was. I said that she says that we're square on June's rent for $125.
No, that you're just adding. $125 you're just adding to your previous statement, which said that you were square on June's rent. All right. How much does he owe you for rent?
He owes me June rent, which is $425.
I'm taking off $125. $425 less $125 leaves $300 for June. What else?
For the balance of August rent, he made some payment to the police, so the balance was $35.
She is lying, Your Honor. She has lied since the beginning. She has made my life miserable. I had to live with that one, and he totally drove me crazy. First of all, he's a crystal meth addict.
Listen to me.
He's still my roommate.
I don't care. He made my life a living hell.
Listen, I'm not your therapist, sir. If you don't like where you live, you move.
That's why
But while you live there, you pay.
I did pay my rent.
Just a second. Show me.
She says that I didn't owe her for July. Now she drops it. Her statements are obviously not in order.
All right. $335 rent. Now, you say he took 2 rugs?
The rugs. During the time I was away, I've got a lot of things in my house. I got a phone call from Mr. Bauman saying that Mr. Cave had been taking rugs from my room, from other places at the house, and leaving them over the balcony stairway. And this only came to my attention. I was 6,000 miles away because, according to Mr. Bauman, these rugs kept ending up outside.
What? Just a second. Did you find your rugs when you came home?
No, I did not. And
do you have any proof that he took your rugs?
No, all I can say is that he's moving my rugs outside. And
just a second. Up.
I'm sorry.
Hey. The answer was no. You have no proof that he took your rugs. Correct?
No. I know he moved my rugs.
Okay. Moving is not taking. You have no proof. Now, what about the phone installation?
To help Mr. Covey when he moved in.
You had the phone?
I had the phone superseded into his name. So the bills, he was responsible for his bills during the time I was gone. He was supposed to sign the phone back to me. Because of whatever reason, him not paying his own bill and him disappearing, he disconnected the phone. I had to pay a $100 deposit and a $30 reconnect charge to get my phone number back and wait 3 months for that. He was supposed to sign it back to me.
Just a second. Did you pay your bill to the phone company when you were supposed to? Shh. Listen to my question very carefully, sir. When your phone bill came in once a month for the 3 months that you were there, did you pay your bill each month? The answer is either yes or no. Make sure I get an accurate answer.
Your Honor, I did. Yes is the basic answer because I am caught up with Pac Bell now.
That's not what I asked you. Do I speak English? Where do you come from? What country do you come from?
The United States, Your Honor.
Then
New
listen,
York.
I speak English. I said each month when your phone bill came in, did you pay it?
Yes.
On time?
Except for 1 month.
So the answer is no, you did not.
No, then.
Right.
And it is all paid now.
That's not what I asked you.
Okay.
So you didn't pay it all on time. You did, in fact, pay the bill.
I did pay the bill.
Ultimately.
Ultimately.
Was that before or after you were arrested?
It was paid off before I was arrested. What sense does that make? It does not make any sense.
About him.
I mean, you want to pay your... I pay all of my bills.
$130 for reconnect. $5, $6, $465.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You had me arrested for grand theft. Look, lady, I have all of the proof.
My rugs are missing.
Your rugs are missing. You know, you're very good at the victim, lady.
And, you know,
And later today,
you were still angry.
Yes.
So you kicked her in the face.
I don't know where I kicked her at. I was just kicking everywhere. I don't know.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carol Myers claims talent agent Brian Covey stole her rugs and didn't pay rent. Brian claims living in her place was a nightmare.
Now, you have a $1,000 countersuit against her because you say that she $1,400.
Yes, Your
lost
Honor.
wages, pain, suffering for false imprisonment. Now, did you file a police complaint?
Yes, I did.
Against him?
Yes.
For what?
For the back rent due and for the bounce checks, and that there was property missing from my house when I returned.
Okay. Forget rent, because I don't think that that's something that the police would arrest him for.
Thank you.
I think that they might arrest him for bounced checks. Now, show me where he bounced checks.
I have here the August rent check that was bounced.
Let me see it.
And no payment for June, as I mentioned. And here's
Madam,
I'm sorry.
you don't have somebody arrested because they failed to pay a rent. That's a civil matter. Bounce checks is something else, because if somebody writes a check on an account where they know they have no money to cover it, that's a crime. So the police may take action if they have nothing else. If they have nothing else to do. New York City to tell you to go have a good lunch someplace. Shh, I'm talking. Okay, your August rent was returned for insufficient funds. Did you know that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And the thing about the August is that I did make a money order payable to her, and I mailed it. Obviously, she doesn't know what's going on in her account.
Why did you write her a check and an account where you had insufficient funds?
At the time, Your Honor, I actually have the bank statement, I think, that shows that I had enough money in the account through the whole time, but obviously something got crossed somewhere. And I made a mistake, Your Honor, yeah.
Okay. Now tell me about it when you were arrested, sir.
I was arrested at 7 o'clock in the morning on February the 23rd. They knocked on my door and they said, "Are you Brian Covey?" I said, "Yes." They came into my apartment and I allowed them to search the apartment. They could find nothing on those rugs. And they pulled my roommate into the kitchen and they asked him, "All we really want are the rugs." I don't steal things, first of all. And then they asked me to produce the receipt for the money order that I did pay her in August. Now, I lost the receipt. I was dumb. I lost the receipt. I made a mistake.
You're like an accident looking to happen, sir. You better start taking care of your business a little bit better.
Your Honor, I have learned my lesson. Believe me, I have learned my lesson.
Very good. So now you take care of your business better? Very good. You take care of your business better, but at that time you weren't taking care of your business. You owe her $465. Your counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She is lying through her teeth about me, and she has me arrested.
I didn't have you arrested.
You had me arrested for grand theft. Look, lady, I have all of the proof.
My rugs are missing.
Your rugs are missing. You know, you're very good at the victim, lady.
And
you are the
my
best.
Property is
you are
all
the
over.
best.
I'm still missing
you
things
should run
from
for
my
politics.
garage.
You know that, lady?
And now the next case.
Parties on Doro versus Castro Enriquez. Step forward, please.
16-year-old student Shelley Doro says schoolmate 17-year-old Alma Castro kicked her in the mouth, knocking a tooth out. Alma claims it was self-defense.
You're Miss Doro.
Yes.
This is your mom.
Yes.
You are Miss Castro?
Yes.
Who are you?
Enriquez.
You her mother?
No, I'm her aunt.
Are you a guardian?
Yes.
Why don't you two ladies have a seat over here together? Because this really involves your daughter and your niece. Do you girls know that girls fighting is very unattractive?
Yeah.
You know, when I was growing up, girls didn't fight. They wrote nasty notes to each other, but they didn't fight with each other. You go to school together?
No, no more.
You did?
We did.
And according to this complaint, Miss Doro, you were assaulted by the defendant who broke your tooth.
Yes.
In the front.
Yes.
Why did you start from the beginning? Had you had trouble with the defendant before?
No, we never had trouble before. On March 4th, 97, at Sultana High School, I was approached by her about something that had happened the night before.
What had happened the night before?
One of her friends and one of my friends had gotten into a fight. Me and my boyfriend broke it up because it was at my boyfriend's house. She was not there.
Just a second. I'm going to get to you in a minute.
She was not there. I don't know what she was told. Okay, and then so she approached me. She decided that she would take it up with me the next day at school.
Oh, okay. So she approached you the next day?
Yes.
And what did she say to you the next day?
I mean, that's something, it was over a year ago, so it's really hard to remember. But I know we were arguing, and then all of a sudden she just hit me.
Where did she hit you?
In the forehead, right here. And as a result, I had a big bump on my forehead. And so I defended myself.
So you started to fight with her?
Yes. I'm not sure about how long we were fighting, but then the security guards, the proctors, they came up and they broke us up. I was on the ground. I had no way to defend myself. I was sitting on the ground with my legs in front of me, with my hands behind my back. She must have broken away or something, I'm not sure, but all of a sudden I see her boot come flying towards my face. That's when my tooth had gotten knocked out. I had no way to defend myself.
Who put you on the ground?
3 of the security guards.
And when you say your hands were behind your back, were they handcuffed or were they tied?
They were holding my hands.
How were they holding your hands? Were they on the ground too?
There was there was 2 on the ground holding my hands, and there was 1 holding my shoulders down so I could not get up.
And when she hit you in the mouth, that's when your tooth broke?
Yes.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She provoked this incident and then went up to her and kicked her in the face.
I didn't go up to her.
Well, then you have a very long leg.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Shelley Doro wants Alma Castro to pay her dental bills after kicking her in the mouth, knocking out her tooth.
Okay. Your version.
Most of what she said was true. You know, when my friend got into a fight, my friend was on the floor, and she kicked her in the head.
You mean that was the day before?
Shh, shh, shh. Yeah.
The day before?
Yes.
What did that have to do with you?
That was my friend. And I just went up to her, and I remember what I said.
What did you say?
I went up to her, and I go, why did you do that to my friend? And I started, we started arguing back and forth. She dropped her books, and she said, what's up? Like this. And I was looking at her. She's like, come over here. What's up? What's up? Like this. So I went over there, and I go, why did you hit why did you kick my friend in the head? She said, it's none of your business, all right? So you better just this and that and this and this. And I was like, what? And then I started, I started arguing with her too, and I started saying, don't talk to me like that and this and that. And that's when she said, she went like this, and when she went like this, I got scared and I hit her.
Okay, can I say something?
No. Just a second. You went like this and you hit her.
Yeah.
And you hit her in the forehead.
Yes.
And then you got into this big fight.
Yeah, we were fighting. It was crowded. It was real crowded.
Okay. But then a security guard came and broke you up.
Yeah.
Several security guards. Is that right?
Yes.
And she was on the ground.
Yes.
And then you kicked her.
Yeah, because she was kicking me too.
Just a second. You left that out. Then you kicked her. She's on the ground. And there were security guards there.
Yes.
You were still angry.
Yes.
So you kicked her in the face.
I don't know where I kicked her at. I was just kicking everywhere. I don't know. It was crowded.
It was crowded.
There was a lot of people there.
All right, just a second. Miss Enriquez, step up here. Does she live with you?
Yes.
Would you step up now next to your daughter? How much were the dental bills in this case?
$700 is what we ended up paying out. I've got copies of all the dental charts and the bills, and a letter from the dentist stating that she will most likely have to have this replaced by the time she's 20. My sister was the one that picked her up from school and had put the bill on her MasterCard. I've got all the bills from that.
Okay.
The amount difference between the bill there and what I show is that the finance charge each month.
Did you know her from before this incident happened in school?
No, I just saw her around school.
Did you know who she was?
Sort of, kind of. Can I have my witness come up here because she saw the whole thing?
Just a second. There is no issue as to what happened.
Okay.
There's no issue. I'm just trying to get to a little background. You did know who she was?
Sort of, yeah.
But on that day, you approached her first because you had heard that she did something to a friend of yours.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you started it, and you finished it. She's responsible, don't you think, Miss Enriquez?
No, I don't think so, because she got hurt too.
Just a minute. How did she get hurt?
Her back was hurting that day.
That's too bad. She started it. She went over. She provoked this incident. And then, Miss Enriquez, when it had been subdued, your niece went up to her and kicked her in the face.
I didn't go up to her.
Well, then you have a very long leg. How did your leg get to her face?
It was crowded.
You don't know? It was crowded.
It was crowded.
All right.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
This letter from the dentist said it may be necessary to replace the crown, so I can't issue an award based on possibilities rather than it will be necessary. That's what the dentist says. It may be necessary. I'm giving you a judgment for $1,000. $700 should cover at least the initial cost of her dentistry, some of the finance charges that you were forced to pay on the MasterCard, and a little bit for good measure. Something happens to a friend of yours, you let your friend take care of it. It's none of your business. You started the problem, and after it was quiet, and there was no longer a heated battle, you were still so angry that you caused her serious injury that's going to be permanent. Unreasonable and unladylike. And it's also unladylike to fight, because the truth of the matter is, while you were under no compulsion to walk away, you could have. Do you understand?
Yeah, I know that.
Would have been the smarter thing for you to do. As a result of being dumb, therefore, you're walking around with a fake tooth. Right? Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I can't go back to high school, and I won't be graduating in time now.
She had no right to come up to me during school and hit me for no reason.
I was a good student. I had A's and B's all the time. Never got into a fight or anything.
I think it was very fair. Very fair. I got justice. I got what I wanted.
Parties on Bettis versus Stipke. Step forward, please.
35-year-old housewife Cynthia Bettis is suing 35-year-old Mike Stipke, claiming he broke a table when he fell over in a drunken stupor at her daughter's birthday party. Mr. Stipke is countersuing for his medical bills.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 269 on the calendar in the matter of Bettis versus Stipke. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please. Have a seat.
You had a birthday party at your house for your daughter Nicole
and Christina.
And Christina.
We also celebrated 2 other children's birthday at that time.
And according to this complaint, one of the other children who was celebrating a birthday was the daughter of a friend of yours.
Yes.
Who brought this gentleman to the party.
Yes.
So you came, sir, as an invited guest.
Yes, ma'am.
Of this lady?
Yes.
Let's see how smart I am. Your claim is that while he was at the party, he was drunk?
Yes.
And he destroyed some furniture?
Yes.
Were you drunk?
No, ma'am. I had 3 or 4 beers at the most. They had other people drinking. Her sister and her husband were also drinking the beer.
Who cares about her sister and her brother? They didn't break furniture.
No, they did not.
Well, why'd you go to the birthday party and drink?
Nah, I just had a few beers.
Uh-huh. Why don't you tell me, sir, how it came about that you broke this furniture? Describe what happened to me, if you remember.
Diane had threw a piece of ice up to me.
Just a second. Diane, that's you.
Right.
Stand up there, Diane, because I found that interesting. So she threw what at
A piece of ice up in the air.
Ice.
Ice.
Where were you standing at this time?
On the patio.
On the patio.
Describe how you threw a piece of ice. How far were you standing apart?
3 feet.
Well, move over another foot.
I felt like this.
About that far? And you, what were you doing? Your hands weren't behind your back, sir. What were you doing? You're holding a beer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Make like you're holding a beer, right? All right.
And a cigarette.
And you're, just, what?
And a cigarette in the other hand.
A cigarette in the other hand?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Make like a cigarette in the other hand. Now, Diane, show me what you were doing.
I just tossed a piece of ice up.
An ice cube?
Yes. It was out in the ice chest. Actually, it was out of my cup, but Mike lifted his head up and he stepped
No, just
back.
you're going to show me. Toss the ice. Go ahead. Toss it. Go.
And when I went back, I hit the end of the table and went down and then busted my head open on a toy chest.
Just a second. I'm not interested with your head. I'm interested in the table. Right? You broke the table.
The end piece, yeah.
The end piece of the table.
Right.
Because you were acting like a fool at a children's birthday party. He had 3 or 4 beers. She's throwing ice cubes at you, and you're catching them in your mouth, right? And I say this to you, sir, because to add insult to injury, you filed a countersuit in this case. You're suing her because you fell and broke your head and split your head open. What does that have to do with her? What does that have to do with her?
That was her house, and I was on her property, and I went through pain and suffering to the deal.
So whose fault was that?
It was my fault.
So what are you suing her for?
For the pain and suffering I went through.
Why is your pain and suffering her problem? If you get it, listen to me, sir. If you get out of bed in the middle of the night, right, to go to the bathroom, and you stub your toe on a chair, and you break your toe, do you sue the chair manufacturer? Huh?
No.
No. Now, the table didn't have 3 or 4 beers and move. Right?
No.
So I'm really trying to understand what was in your mind when you filed this countersuit. Her lawsuit, I understand.
Okay.
Okay. That was easy.
Okay.
That was easy. Okay. Is that pretty much what happened?
In general, yes. We offered to call 911 or take him to the hospital. He refused.
You were being...
No, that is not true.
Doesn't make any difference. I want to know about the table.
Okay. Basically, the table was broke on one side, and he broke a chair.
So did you have it fixed? Were you able to repair it?
We tried to get it fixed. They were not able to fix the table and the
How
chair.
did he break a chair?
He was sitting in it, and when he leant over to get a beer off the table, he broke the chair.
He broke the... Well, that happened before the table.
Right.
You remember that?
No, there was no chair broken, no.
You don't remember a broken chair?
No.
There was not a chair broken.
How was it broken? You have a picture of it?
Yes, we do. It's basically just a little metal hinge that fits into the grooves of the side of the chair. It's a folding chair, little wooden folding chair. And
so did you fix the folding chair?
No, there's nowhere to fix the metal piece.
Did the party continue on after this happened with his
Basically,
fall?
Once they left, the party did end, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
He fell backwards, and I came watching over there, and Mommy and Mommy's friend and Diane, they tried to doctor him, but they rushed him to the hospital.
Thank you. Did you have a good time at your birthday party? Hmm? You didn't. Why not? Why not? It's okay. You can tell me. Ooh. Tell me your name. No, she's all right. She's all right. I won't ask her any more questions.
Thank you.
Evidently, she didn't have such a good time at the birthday party.
No, she does not want me to throw any more parties for her again because of what happened.
Why?
Because basically, she seen him walking around drunk and fall down and shed blood all over at her birthday party.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was told they were going to pay $50 each Sunday. I did not get any money, so I took matters into my own hands.
And later today,
I certainly wouldn't make damage in broad daylight with a neighbor walking outside in the street.
The police were there, and he fled.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 35-year-old Cynthia Bettis says Mike Stipke ruined her daughter's birthday party when he got drunk and broke a table. Mike says it was all an accident and is countersuing for medical bills.
How much was the table worth?
About $200.
Okay.
I have a letter from the lady who owns the table.
You borrowed the table from somebody else?
My in-laws did. They borrowed the table for the party.
Okay, well, it has to be replaced. And you have to pay for it. Don't be foolish.
I did offer to pay for it.
So then what are we doing here?
I asked for the money to be delivered, $50 every Sunday, and they agreed upon it, and it never came through.
I offered to write her a check in the whole full amount and have Mike pay me back because I live 3 blocks from him.
So?
I never got that offer.
She says, I'm going away for the weekend. I'll call you when I get back. We'll make arrangements to happen. She didn't call.
Why don't you just drop off the check?
Why should I go over there? She made it clear she didn't want me over there.
Why don't you just send the check in the mail? Say, I'm sorry this happened. Sorry
I
spoiled
am
the
sorry it
birthday
happened,
party.
and I made that quite clear to her.
All right. Well, it's a very unfortunate circumstance. Sir, you understand that you owe $200. That's for the table. I mean, little girls who had a birthday party, one of them had a good time. The older one didn't. She probably understands a little bit more about what was going on. Certainly, you know that your countersuit has absolutely no merit. If you act like a fool, sometimes you get hurt. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $200.
Do I get the table?
Do you get the table?
Yes.
No, you get the judgment.
Okay.
Parties are excused. Step out.
Thank you. What a jerk.
Back door to your right, please.
It was an accident and it happened. I'm sorry that I broke your table.
Thank you. I'd like you to apologize to the kids that you ruined their party.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And now the next case.
Parties on Oakray versus Engler. Step forward, please.
ATM saleswoman Marlene Opray is suing her business associate Roger Engler, charging he vandalized her car. Roger says she's retaliating against him over a business deal gone bad.
All right, Miss Opray, you claim that the defendant vandalized your car.
Yes.
By keying it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why would he do such a thing?
As retaliatory for not working with me any longer. Tell
me about that.
We just had a court case in San Francisco about 2.5 weeks ago to where he tried to say I owed him for a sum of money for the month of June.
He was an employee of yours?
No, he was a self-contractor only if he were to sell ATM machines.
Okay, so he was an independent contractor.
Yes, Your Honor.
So he sued you last month.
And he lost because he didn't produce, he didn't make one sale.
Whatever. He lost.
That's right.
When was the car vandalized?
August 25th.
And when was the court case?
October 7th.
So the car was vandalized before the court case?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Did you report it vandalized?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Where was it vandalized? Tell me about it.
It was in my carport. My daughter saw him do it. And this is Linda, my daughter. Hi. And the police came immediately after he had done this, and he fled. If he hadn't done it, why would he flee from the police?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have to tell you what he said in our last court case on October 7th when I told him I had 2 witnesses. 2 weeks ago. And he says, nobody saw me do it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. ATM saleswoman Marlene Opre says her former business associate Roger Engler keyed her car, causing severe damage. Roger denies he did anything wrong.
You say, your mother says at least, that you actually observed him.
Yes, I did.
Well, tell me what you saw.
Your Honor, he came to the house around 8:30 or 9 in the morning. I answered the door, and this gentleman was at my mom's door. He asked if Marlene Opre was there. I asked who he was. He did not want to leave a name with me. I seen he had a white envelope in his hand. I said I was her daughter. I would be more glad to give it to her, and he refused to give it to me. So I shut the door. I went in, I told my mom, she was in the shower at the time. My mom asked him to come back in 30 minutes, asked what he looked like, and this and that. I described him. She couldn't place him. So I went back and I told this gentleman. He wasn't too happy about it. He said he had come a long distance to give this to my mother. And I says, well, like I said, if you want to come back in 30 minutes. I shut my door. I went into my room. Not even 2 minutes later, I heard a screeching noise outside. It's right outside my bedroom window. There's a carport. My car was parked there as well as my mother's. I didn't have any clothes on because I answered the door. I was in my pajamas. I opened it up halfway. I went to go put my pants on to run out there to see what he was doing. He was kneeling down on the other side of my mom's car on the right rear tire. So I got my pants on. I ran out there. At that time, this gentleman was pulling away. I ran out after him. He kept going. He did see me. I saw him look in his rearview mirror. There was another gentleman walking in the park there where we live. He said this gentleman had parked there for a while there.
You can't tell me what the other gentleman said. So you actually saw him kneeling against your mother's car?
Yes, I did.
You did not actually see him scratch your mother's car?
I seen him kneeling there. I heard a noise.
You heard a noise,
yes.
And you saw him kneeling near the car?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Had you parked the car there the evening before?
Yes, I did.
And when you parked the car there, can you describe its condition to me?
It was good. I mean, I'd been driving
it?
all day. I had not been out of the car. I'd been on a long trip. And I'd parked there about 11:30 at night. And, Your Honor, we have security at the park, so nobody came in.
Do you have pictures of the car?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Engler, I'll hear you, sir.
Okay. It's a nice story. Mostly none of it was true, but that's a nice story. Number one, we were partners. I had letters to show that we were business partners. We had gone on a number of trips together. We were supposed to share income and so on.
I'm not interested in the other lawsuit, sir.
No, I understand.
You lost the other lawsuit.
I'm just giving background. She owed me money. She kept on promising she was going to pay money. And then all of a sudden she was disappearing and she wasn't returning calls. And she wasn't returning calls. We had been in for 3 months on the phone every single day, once, twice, sometimes 3 times a day, many times.
I'm not interested in that. You went to her house at 8:30 in the morning.
No,
for what purpose?
First of all, it was 9:30 in the morning.
9:30.
Okay, there was.
For what purpose?
For what purpose? I went to give her a letter in her hand saying I've dissolved the partnership between us, and that's what I went to deliver. Her daughter came to the door. She was dressed. The door was open. She said, who are you? And I said, I just came here to give your mother a piece of paper. She said, let me go back and find out. She came back and she said, my mother's in the shower. Can you come back in 30 minutes? There was a gentleman walking in the street that we exchanged pleasantries. That was the extent of it.
Can I see the police report, please?
Yes, ma'am.
As far as I can see, is simply retaliation. It's whatever she can do. Nothing to do with me.
I see the police were called, sir, on that day, on the 25th of August. So it's clearly not retaliatory because you evidently did not proceed in court until October. Your judgment wasn't until October, the judgment dismissing your suit. She made this complaint the very day of the incident.
Okay. First of all, her car has had many damages on it that she's never repaired. I can't testify as to what scratches and things she had on the car or why she did what she did.
This is a key mark, sir.
Okay, but it could have been there.
This is a key mark.
It was not there.
Here.
Okay.
Show him.
It was not there.
Okay, it's a key mark. You know, but that doesn't mean that I had anything to do with it. It could have been there. I could tell you that she had damages on her car that she's never repaired, and she's using it as an excuse. You know, if it was vandalism, as she claims, then in fact, from what I understand, it's a criminal act. Why didn't the police come, call me, do whatever they want, arrest me? There's no logic.
Your Honor.
Let's see. Just a second. You were given information on how to get a temporary restraining order against him. Did you do that?
No, I didn't because I left on a long cruise. And like the police department said, if you're gone, I went all the way up to Alaska and Canada. There was no sense in getting a restraining order. I was going to be gone.
For how long?
I was gone for 12 days.
Mm-hmm.
The cruise was before I even went there. The reason I know that is because one of her customers I had spoken to her and called me. The cruise was before.
What kind of business are you in, sir?
I'm in the ATM business. I sell ATM, cash dispensers, credit card processing, and so on. I was never an employee of hers. I was never a contract laborer of hers. I had my own company. She approached me to be a partner with her and hers.
I just asked you, shh. Have you ever been arrested?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When?
About 2 years ago.
For what?
It was considered insurance fraud at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Although it was my own property. It was my own property that was stolen, and it was a nonsense thing, but that's how it was.
And you were convicted?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Is that your first arrest, sir?
No.
When's the arrest just prior to that?
That was a case that was dropped on an advertising program that was eventually dropped.
Mm-hmm. How long was your probation on the insurance fraud?
2 years.
When is your probation up?
Oh, it was up before I came to California.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
This is not a criminal case. Criminal case, the burden of proof is proof by beyond a reasonable doubt that an act was committed. The quantum of proof in a civil case, and this is a civil case, is more evidence than not, what we call a preponderance of the credible evidence that an event occurred. So I must make a determination based upon common sense and based upon what I've heard, whether I am satisfied by a preponderance of the credible evidence, that is more evidence than not, that you did in fact key her car. I'm satisfied. So you have the estimates for the damage?
Yes, and it's already been taken care of.
$1,241.25 is what you paid to have the car repainted on both sides. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,241. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You know, she never contacted me. She never notified me. The police never were involved. Nothing ever happened.
I have to tell you what he said in our last court case on October 7th when I told him I had 2 witnesses.
2 weeks ago.
And he says, nobody saw me do it.
Davis versus Davis. Step forward, please.
23-year-old printer Rolanda Davis says she loaned her car to neighbor Rhonda Davis, and it came back damaged. Rhonda claims in her countersuit she owes her money for a missing gold ring.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 240 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
I'm going to try to make this rather complicated case as simple as I can. You are not related to each other, even though you have the same last name.
No.
You are neighbors.
Yes.
She borrowed your car.
Yes, she did.
And it was involved in some sort of a traffic accident, and it was damaged.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And you want her to pay for the damage to the car.
Yes, I do.
She says that while you were babysitting for her, jewelry was stolen from her house. So she's countersuing you for the jewelry. She said, therefore, she doesn't have to pay for the car. Is that this case?
Yes, it is.
So at least we have one thing that's a given. You damaged her car.
Yes.
Now, in what month, date and month, did you damage her car? And you don't know this right off the top?
July 12th, Your Honor.
No, I don't.
July 12th is when you borrowed the car.
Yes.
How was it damaged? Tell me.
I was damaged on the on the driver's door.
And how did you do that?
I didn't do it. A car hit her car while I was parked.
So she says, Your Honor.
Whatever, you weren't there.
Right.
But it was damaged while it was in your control.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not covered by insurance.
No, it's not.
Why did you let her borrow your car?
Because she asked me if she can borrow my car to go to the grocery store.
That's not true.
And I said, do you have a driver's license? And she said yes. And I let her drive my car. When she left, my car was a brand new car.
No, I understand that. She's acknowledging that the car was damaged while it was under her control. Did you have a driver's license?
No, I did not.
Why? Why did you use her car without having a driver's license?
She sent her daughter to come get me, to go to Lucky's, to go get some milk and cereal for her daughter because she was sick.
Your Honor.
I did her a favor.
Your Honor. She asked me to use my car. The first question I asked her, before I even answered her, was, do you have a driver's license?
That's not true.
She said yes.
Just a second. Did you have insurance?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, I had got the car in May, and I moved in June. I guess my insurance papers, from what the car dealership told me, went to my old address. Being that I didn't get them in time, they pinned it because I only had it a month after I got my car.
So far, you both sound very responsible. No insurance, no driver's license. It's a perfect match.
Okay.
All right. Now, when allegedly was this jewelry stolen and how? What month?
It was stolen August 23rd.
All right. 8/23. Now, between July 12th, when the car was damaged, and August 23rd, why didn't you pay her for the damage?
Because, for one thing, when after the accident had happened, okay, I came straight to Rolanda, and I said, Rolanda, someone had hit your car. We came out, we looked at the car. She said, Rhonda, don't worry about it. It's not that much damage. It could have happened to me if I'd have had your car. She said, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Come on now.
Shh.
All right.
And so that was it, okay? August 23rd was my birthday. We needed a babysitter.
Just a minute. So are you telling me that between July 12th, when our car was damaged, and August 23rd, there was no other discussion about paying for the car?
None. None.
Okay. You say there was?
Yes, there was.
When was there?
When she came back, when she pulled back into the parking lot, and I came outside and seen my car, and I'm just shaking my head, and she was like, Rolanda, I'm going to help you fix your car. She said she's been knowing people who can fix my car, Your Honor. She said she's been knowing people, and I'll come to her door, I'll ask her sometime, I'll be like, have you talked to someone?
No,
and she'll be like, yeah, I know somebody who will fix the car.
Okay.
You know, and then she got mad one night and was like, I'm not going to fix your car.
Who are you?
I'm her witness and roommate. We live together. When she was at the store, I was at Rolanda's house sitting, waiting for her because the store is not very far from where we stay at. Okay. When she came back, all three of us walked out where the car is parked at in front of our apartment building, and we looked at the car. You know, I was looking like, where's the dent, you know? And it was very small, like maybe if someone opened their door and maybe hit the car or something like that, that's what it looked like. To me, it wasn't major
I'm
at
going to
all.
see pictures of it. I assume the pictures are
It
here.
wasn't
Yes,
major
I do
at all.
have my
So-
pictures to prove that
I'm
they're
gonna
not little itty bitty dents.
I have pictures
I have
too.
some I have some damages that.
Just a shut.
Okay.
That's certainly not an itty bitty dent.
No, and that wasn't the dent that was in that car. Neither. Her car had been hit 3 times since that accident.
Well, when did you take pictures of it?
Maybe about 2 weeks ago when I knew that she was following this.
Just a second. 2 weeks ago this happened? 3
July
months
the
ago?
12th, Your Honor.
Yes, but
My case
I didn't know she was going to file no suit against me or anything like this.
When were these pictures taken?
Those pictures were taken 3 days ago.
3 days ago?
3 days ago.
Not interested in these pictures?
Well,
I
have
want to
an
see the estimate.
Okay. I have
right
an estimate,
after
Your
July
Honor.
12th.
I have an estimate, Your Honor, proving how much my driver's door does not open. My window is broken.
That window was in that car.
It has been rain, and my car, the door, it's rain, it's mildew stains inside of my car.
Your husband
Just a
broke the
minute.
window.
Hey! This damage report is 2.5 months after this incident.
Yes. Okay. Your Honor, I'm telling the guys all the truth. She damaged my car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You copped an attitude, which I have a feeling you can do very easily, and you said, I'm not doing that.
And later today,
Whoever made the decision that this was not going to be a long-term relationship, whether it was you or whether it was him,
It was me.
whoever it was, you're very lucky.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rolanda Davis says after she loaned her car to her neighbor, 36-year-old Rhonda Davis, she returned it with extensive damage. Rhonda admits the car was wrecked, but says Rolanda stole a gold ring from her home, making them even.
She acknowledges she damaged your car.
Mm-hmm.
You do not have an estimate within a day, a two, a week after the accident.
Right.
$1,500 is practically what they charge just to look at a car. One of these car doctors,
Thank
you know,
you.
they come out in a
Thank
white
you.
coat and they look at it, you know, the looking costs $1,500. So we're not talking about a lot of money. The damage that you caused to the car was at least probably $1,500.
Yes.
If they have to pull it out, they have to repaint it, they have to buff it out. You agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So $1,500 she's entitled to for the car. Now, you have to prove to me that she took your jewelry. Prove it.
Only way that I can prove it is that when we got ready to leave, okay, when I got to the club, okay, Jocelyn noticed that my jewelry was gone. What I did, I immediately got on the phone. I called Rolanda. I said, I dialed my number. Rolanda answered my phone. She said, hello. I said, Rolanda, this is Rhonda. First thing I said, how's the kids? She said, everything okay? I said, Rolanda, I left my rings on top of the TV. Can you please go get them for the kids won't mess with them? She said, okay. I said, I'm going to hold on until you do this, okay? I was holding on the phone. Whether Rolanda went in my room to check to see was the rings there or not, I was holding on. She came back to the phone. She said, okay, I got them. I said, okay, everything's okay? She said, yes. I hung up the phone. When I returned home, I say approximately maybe about 2:30, close to 2:45. Immediately as I walked in my door, I seen my table, the glass was broke, okay? Then Rolanda said, the window in the room is broke. I said, the room window. So I goes in the room and I pulls the curtain back. The whole window is busted out, okay? A family heirloom that I had from my grandmother that's passed, that was broke, okay? My rings was missing, all in one night.
Okay. What happened?
She called. And she did tell me that her ring was somewhere in her room. She did say that she would hold while I go in the room. I did not go in that room because I didn't want to be responsible for nothing coming up
Just
missing.
a second.
Okay.
Stop you right there.
All right.
She called. She said, I'll hold on.
Mm-hmm. I sat the phone
Just
on.
a second.
Okay.
She said, I'll hold on while you go inside and get my rings because I don't
Okay.
want the kids. That's what she said to you.
Right.
And you did what?
And I sat the phone down and sat there. I did not come back and reply to her, I got them.
Yes, you did.
Oh, sure you did.
Yes, you did. That's what the reason
sure you
was
did.
holding on.
Okay.
No, that's why I was, oh, excuse me.
No.
Excuse
Hey,
me.
oh, sure you did.
She is lying. No, I did not. My mother is right here.
Let me tell you why you did. Let me tell you why you did. Because it doesn't make sense. It's not logical for you to have then walked back and said, I don't have the rings. I'm sorry. You put the phone down. You said, gonna wait a couple of minutes. You picked the phone up. You said, got him.
I didn't say got him.
What did you say?
I told her I was not going in her room because I wasn't going to be responsible.
No, you didn't.
That's what I said.
Oh, you did. Please,
I didn't
give me a
leave
break.
out that living room.
Give.
Your Honor,
You got
that
my
is
rings.
the truth. I didn't leave out the living room.
Oh, I believe it.
I stayed
How you
right
know the
next door
bedroom
to
window
her.
was
Listen
broke?
to me. Listen to me.
Okay.
Either way,
Okay.
you're responsible. She's absolutely right. Either way, you're responsible. She called you.
That's what I
You were
did.
babysitting for her children. She said, I left my rings. Please go inside and secure them. Instead of doing that, you copped an attitude, which I have a feeling you can do very easily, and you said, I'm not doing that. You took the phone, put it down, waited a minute, picked it up and said, I got him.
That's what she did.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Sure you did. Tell me what rings were missing.
This is the rings right here. I have the things from the rings and everything. They're not even finished paying for. Here's everything for the rings. It's the
never
ones that's
entered a room at all.
That's your problem.
Circled.
Then you lied.
Here's
No,
my
I didn't.
stuff.
Oh,
for
sure
my-
you did.
For my table.
Oh, sure
I
you
didn't-
did.
I got
How?
the window fixed, but not the table.
How,
but
Your
this
Honor?
is
How did you lie?
Yes.
You lied because you told her I got the rings.
No,
Here
I
we go,
didn't.
right
Oh, I
never
believe you
told her
did.
that.
Listen, I may be wrong. I was wrong once in 1950. I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure I was wrong
And this
once in
day
1950.
too, Your Honor, because I didn't say that to her.
Quiet.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today,
You are so full of baloney.
Am I?
You are so full of baloney. But you're a very quick thinker.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
This case is going to turn out to be a wash, you know. Because I believe that you should have paid for the car, for the damage to the car. I believe that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Miss Attitude over here decided that she was tired of asking you to pay for the car and made things sort of even. Your lawsuit is dismissed. Your countersuit is dismissed because they're just for about the same amount of money. The loss of the rings, the damage to her car, it's a wash.
With me.
That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
All right.
And now the next case.
Parties on Penda versus Crane. Step forward, please.
55-year-old engineering assistant Dee Pender says she bought a computer for 43-year-old Robert Crane while the two were dating. Robert claims he knows nothing about it.
While you and the defendant were dating, you claimed that you bought a computer for him, he agreed to pay you for the computer, stopped dating, and he hasn't paid you for the computer.
Right.
That's simple?
Right.
He says he doesn't know what you're talking about. You never bought him a computer. He doesn't know about a computer. Is that right?
Correct.
Interesting. So, how long were you dating before you bought him this computer, and tell me why you did in the first place?
Probably about 4 months I was dating him, and he was over that night, and we had talked about that I might get a computer. And I was on the phone, and he came in, and he says, "Oh, you're ordering a computer?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Do you think I could get one too?" And I said, "Well, I'll ask." So I asked, and she said, "You can buy as many as you want."
Well, where were you ordering these from?
Through my company that I work for.
Were you getting a good deal on them?
Yes.
Is that the idea?
Yes, uh-huh.
Go ahead.
They offered them to the employees only. And she said, yes, I could get as many as I wanted. I said, okay. He says, well, put it on your charge for me, and I'll pay you back next month. Fact is, he says, I'll pay the whole bill off. And I went, shh, wait till I'm done. So I finished ordering 2 computers and got off the phone. He says, yeah, he says, I'll pay the whole bill off. Everything on your bill I'll pay off. Yours and mine and anything else that's on there. He said, I make plenty of money. He said, no problem. And I said, no, you pay what you owe me, I pay my own bills.
How much was the computer that you bought for him?
In the end, by the time we got the Everything on there was $1,943.55. That's what it finally came to.
Okay.
So he comes over and he says, I make $15,000 a month. Here's my check stub, I'll show you. And I looked and I went, whoa. And he says, yeah, I make plenty of money. Don't worry, I'll pay the whole thing. I said, no, just pay your bill. That's all I want. And so the bill came in, and he says, well, the next month, he says, I'm a little short of cash. Can I just make the payment this time? He said, actually, I'll pay it when my tax check comes in. He said, that'll be in the next week. And I said, okay. I said, you know, pay $100 on this. Okay. So
did he give you $100?
Yes. Yes, he paid me $100.
Well, let me ask you this question. Have the computers been delivered?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they were delivered the next month.
Did you talk to him about his computer?
Oh, yeah. He said, yeah, he liked it. He thought it was great.
What kind was it?
A Micron? Micron, I believe. Here it is right here.
Okay. And which credit card did you put it on?
My Citibank Visa.
Okay.
There's a little note here that he left tagged on my car after he moved out in the middle of the night. In his handwriting saying, I will pay you. He put this on my car. I put the date up there of the day he left it on my car.
Let me have it, please. Yes. I'm listening.
Yes, ma'am. As far as this computer, she'd called me and said she purchased a computer. And as far as another computer, I know nothing about it. I was very shocked on this lawsuit that she served me. I was very shocked. I was very shocked. And the thing I did, I finally had to move because all she did was call me every night. She wanted to pursue this relationship. Hey, I didn't want to hear anything else about it. So I finally had to move because we lived in the same complex. I did not need to hear any more of this from her.
If you can't be quiet, you have to leave. Do you understand?
So the only thing I can see is she's very distressed that she couldn't pursue this relationship.
So you think she bought these two computers that are clearly on her bill for somebody else, or maybe she just wanted the two computers for herself?
Possibly. As far as that, the only thing I knew, she called me up, she said, oh, I bought a computer. Oh, you did? Okay, fine.
If there would be a copy of a check that you gave her for $100, what would that be for?
It would be for some stamps that I purchased from her for a mail order business that she was going into, that I paid her for.
You are so full of baloney.
Am I?
You are so full of baloney. But you're a very quick thinker.
I'm not full of
You're a very quick thinker. I don't have a check for $100, a copy of a check.
But still,
I just wanted to figure out, to see what your answer would be if you thought I had a copy of a check.
That's what it would have been for.
Oh, God. Must be smoking something real good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
$1,943.55 is what your Visa bill shows. Does very fancy footwork, Ms. Pender. You're very lucky that whoever made the decision that this was not going to be a long-term relationship, whether it was you or whether it was him, whoever it was, you're very lucky.
Yes.
Earth to Mr. Crane. You can't pull the wool over everybody's eyes all the time, sir.
I'm sorry.
What were the interest charges since this purchase was made? His interest charges, we're going to give him credit for the $100, even though he now says it's for stamps.
And also lost wages because same time he moved, his company moved. And it took me 2 days to find out where they were.
That you're going to, listen, you're going to chalk that up to experience.
Okay.
All I want to know is the interest. It's $320.
She had a business card all along.
2163, right?
She got there.
That's what I got there. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,163.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm the daughter, and I know the whole story. And I'll tell you, when you're born to lie and you do it well, you can get through life, and he is proof of that.
No. Yeah, they're just ganging up on me. That's why I'm by myself. So, hey.
Party's on Kilpatrick versus Griffin. Step forward, please.
46-year-old Donna Kilpatrick says former live-in lover, 36-year-old painter Patrick Griffin, owes her for bailing him out of jail and money for a lawyer. Patrick is countersuing Donna for stealing money from under his mattress.
Order. All rise. Judges, case number 89 on the calendar in the matter of Kilpatrick versus Griffith. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Kilpatrick, I've read your complaint, and I gather that in 1996, the defendant and you were living together. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
It was drunk driving.
You claim that you loaned him $2,250.
Yes.
Called you from jail?
Yes.
Tell me what he said.
He said that he was incarcerated for a DUI. He didn't want to be represented by the public defender since it wasn't his first offense. He wanted to get a regular attorney, and that he needed some money for upkeep in there for his supplies.
That is not correct.
I'll let you respond in a minute. According to you, he needed $250 for supplies.
According to him, he asked for the $250.
For supplies?
Yes.
So what did you do?
I got cashier's checks, and I sent them to him. I sent one directly to the jail, and the $2,000 I sent to his house. Where,
to whose house?
To his house, or his mother's house, I'm not sure.
I thought you were living together.
No. He asked me to send it to his mother. She was going to take it to an attorney who was going to go to the jail and then discuss it. That's what I was told.
Okay, where did you take the money from?
I took the money from a bank account, and I had cash. So,
my cash.
Equal.
Just a minute. Do you have proof from where your accounts from which you withdrew the money? Because he says that he had $7,000.
$4,800 under the mattress.
$4,800 that you kept under a mattress.
That I kept under a mattress from the $7,000 I had prior to the vacation. I had $7,000 for a truck. Her and I took off for a little mini vacation. When we got back, I had $4,800 left, which I just stashed under the mattress till I could put it in a safer spot.
How long did you keep it under the mattress?
Just the day it was there. And then I was arrested.
Because your defense is that she took your money.
She took my money.
So show me where you got the money from, Miss Kilpatrick.
There was $1,000 in cash. I worked at
$1,000 in cash from where?
$1,000 in cash. I worked as a bartender part-time, and that was from tips, and I used to keep that in my closet in a shoebox, so that cash came from there. The other cash came from my checking.
Do you have proof of that to show me?
No, I don't. Not from that. I just have the receipts from the money I paid for the receipts.
Let me see what you have.
These.
Your Honor, this is almost 2 years ago. Why is this coming up now?
Well, she says she's asked you for the money.
I've been asking her for my money.
Did you ever sign a note to her that you would have the monies that you owed to her by March 20th?
Yes, I did. That was for a Tiffany glass that I broke, that she wanted replaced.
Mm-hmm. How did you break it?
I was in the sink, and I turned the water on, and it just fell over.
When you were living together?
Yes.
That doesn't sound like the kind of thing you would write a promissory note for. Mr. Griffin.
What does the promissory note say?
Do you remember signing it?
No, I don't.
You have a drinking problem?
Yes, I do.
Uh-huh. It says that you promised to satisfy all debts to the plaintiff for the sum so agreed by the date of March 20th. You don't dispute the fact that she gave your mother $2,000.
I am not disputing that, no.
Now, do you have any proof to show me, sir, with regard to this $7,000 that you say you got in cash for a truck?
When I went to the bank to get a copy of the withdrawal, it was a First Interstate.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's Cal Fed, and the records only go back to January of '97.
It's all on microfiche.
I could not get it. Just like I was trying to get a copy of this cashier's check that she sent, because I never personally saw the check. And only the purchaser can get a copy of that also.
Well, it's here, and I assume that you got it because it's made out to you. So I have the following questions. Ms. Kilpatrick, this did happen in 1996. And Mr. Griffin asks a very good question. And his question is, why did you wait this period of time, since I assume you broke up shortly thereafter?
No, it strung along for almost another 8 months. And I just had faith that he would come through with the money. We were in a relationship, and...
When did you finally terminate the relationship?
About 5 months ago.
Is that right?
It wasn't that long ago.
So it was more recent than that?
Yes.
Did he ever make any payments with regard to this money?
No.
Tell me exactly what the conversation was when he called you from the jail to ask you for the money.
That he got popped for a DUI, and it wasn't his first one, and he was really nervous about that. And he didn't feel that the public defender was going to represent him properly. He wanted to get a regular attorney. If I could please loan him the money, as soon as he got out, he would pay it back. He was in, let's see, August 3rd, and he got out of jail on August 24th.
This is my witness. I sent him over to pick up the money from Donna's. He,
well, let him tell me. Go ahead, sir. First of all, who are you?
Ken Burkowski.
Mr. Burkowski, what do you know about this?
I received a call from Patrick in 1996, sometime in the summer. I don't recall exactly when it was. And he had stated what had happened, and he was incarcerated, and he had told me where he had hid some money and asked if I would go over and get it. I went over to get it, in which I had talked to Donna, and she would not let me in the house to get the money.
What did you say to her?
I asked if I could come into the house because Patrick had stashed some money somewhere so I could bail him out of jail.
And what did she say to you?
She wanted to know where the money was.
And what did you say to her?
I wouldn't tell her where the money was. He told me not to tell her where the money was.
How long do you know him?
All my life.
Had you been to the house before?
Yes.
So, before you called Miss Kilpatrick from jail, did you call him?
Yes.
And it was only after you called him and he went to the house and was unsuccessful at getting the money that you called the plaintiff?
Yes, I told her where the location of the money was and to get it to me as soon as possible.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've never seen that person before. We have never had a conversation, and he did not come to my house asking for the money. He did not.
And later today,
what I wanted to do is to make him feel like part of the company.
In order to make him feel part of the business, you used his credit card. Didn't that sound stupid to you?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donna Kilpatrick wants her former boyfriend, Patrick Griffin, to pay back bail money and attorney fees she loaned him. Patrick is accusing Donna of stealing money from under his mattress.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding your separating a few months ago.
The circumstances?
Yeah,
We simply just don't get along. We argue and fight. I don't trust her.
Well, it's clear that you didn't trust her because you were living with her at the time and you wouldn't tell her where you stashed this money. Why was it that you didn't trust her? You trusted your friend, but you didn't trust her.
Well, I knew that if he were to get the money, that I would get it all back.
What made you think you wouldn't get it all back if she got the money?
I just know how Donna is. And it was just a hunch, which was correct. She's admitted taking this money. She just feels that it was owed to her for putting up with a bunch of...
I didn't take that money, and I never saw him in my life.
Ms. Kilpatrick, I want to tell you something. I have to make a judgment based upon who I believe is telling me the truth. It's unfortunate when two people live together and don't trust each other, but that's clearly the case in this case. I believe that you used his money to send to his family to provide him with an attorney. There is no question in my mind that you did provide him with $2,000. You have absolutely no proof to show me where you got this money from. If you want me to believe you, not only does he keep money under the mattress, but you keep money under the mattress.
I don't keep money under the mattress, and I had no knowledge that he had money under the mattress, and I have never seen that person before. We have never had a conversation, and he did not come to my house asking for the money. He did not.
Now, Mr. Griffin, can you tell me, sir, you lived together with this lady or had a continued a relationship with her over a period of a year after this happened, right? Didn't you ask for the rest of your money?
Yes, I have.
And what was the response?
The response, there wasn't much of a response. And I just thought that it would be taken care of eventually. I never really pressured Donna for it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't agree with it. And then to top that off, she gave her brother my television set after I had left.
Mm-hmm. A very hard case. But I have to make a judgment call on it. It seems to me that neither of you made the proper arrangements for a loan. I somehow doubt that if he called you in jail, that he said to you, I need a loan for this money and we'll pay you back as soon as I get out of jail. If he called at all, he said, I need $2,000 for a lawyer, get it and send it to my mother. You're living with somebody, you do that. Right, Ms. Kilpatrick? Becomes more convenient to say, at this point, he said to me, it is a loan and I will pay you back as soon as I get out of jail. He didn't do that, then you continue to have a relationship with him for another year and a half. Mr. Griffin, without any proof, sir, because I don't believe your story that you can't get records from a bank going back to 1996, you're a pretty smart man, and you know that you can go to a bank and the banks must maintain records going back more than a year, even if banks merge. So you could figure out some way to get on film.
I don't think that
listen to me, they do. They do. So I have no proof that you had $4,800 under a mattress. In any event, you continued after you came out of jail to have a relationship with this lady, and you lived together, and in all probability, if the relationship had gone on to become a more permanent one, you would not be standing here today. But neither one of you made the appropriate arrangements to memorialize the debt. Your case is dismissed, and the countersuit is dismissed. Go, be well, be happy.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
Okay.
And now the next case.
Parties on Ditloff versus Ditloff. Step forward, please.
28-year-old electrician Daniel Ditloff wants his brother, 34-year-old business owner Vern Ditloff, to pay his credit card bill.
Brothers, you were working for him.
Mm-hmm.
And used your credit card at his request so that he could charge some items for his business on your credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And he still owes you the money?
Exactly.
And you, sir, seem to acknowledge the fact that you owe him the money.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
So what's your defense?
What was done is there was a credit card that was used for the company.
His credit card?
His credit card.
Why didn't you use your own credit card for the company?
Because at the point, we were trying to bring Dan into the company, be part of it. He's my brother. What I wanted to do is to make him feel like part of the company. So
Mr.
what
Ditloff,
I did...
let's start this question over again.
Okay.
And you tried to answer the question as if you were dealing with an intelligent human being. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you use your brother's credit card rather than your own? Let's start again so that you didn't tell me that story about trying to make him part of the company.
Okay. The reason why we did use his credit card was that we asked him, at the time, I did not have good enough credit to get...
That's the answer. Okay. All right. It's not none of this touchy-feely business. You wanted him to feel part of the business. So you, in order to make him feel part of the business, you used his credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't that sound stupid to you? Didn't that sound... a little dumb.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He mentioned that he would like to have his credit card paid. We agreed with him 100%. We would do it when we could.
That's ridiculous.
Closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. 28-year-old electrician Daniel Ditloff wants his brother, 34-year-old business owner Vern Ditloff, to pay his credit card bill.
How much did you build up on this credit card? According to you, it was $3,000?
Yeah, $3,000 and $92.30.
So you built up this money on his credit card that you acknowledge that you owe him, so why don't you pay him?
I was paying it. What the agreement was on the credit card is we would make monthly payments for this credit card with no specific date that we would pay it off. We would pay it off when we could.
No, it's supposed to be paid off every month, sorry.
No,
go ahead.
It was never meant to be paid off every month. We would pay the minimum balance and more when we could.
And more when you could?
We would not miss his monthly payment.
Good. Now, listen to me, sir. I want you to answer my questions. When did you quit your job?
1/5/98 is the day we had the big argument, and I walked out because they were holding my check.
January 5th, 1998.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
I'd like you to show me, sir, your canceled checks for January, February, and March to the credit card.
Now, there are no...
And April.
Okay. The reason why there
No. Don't give me a reason. I didn't ask you for a reason yet. I said you agreed, you just told me, you agreed to make payments on this credit card every month.
When he would bring the statement to us, the reason why there are none is because as of January 5th, he walked out of the company taking tools, materials, credit cards, cell phones, pagers that he would not return, with numerous phone calls from myself to bring these back, and I would give you your remaining paycheck, and we would take care of everything else. Now, this was not done.
What tools?
The tools that
What tools?
The tools that we, the company, loaned to him.
I'm asking you what tools, sir. You keep telling me tools.
Sorry. Here's a copy of.
What? Yeah, no, I made the point.
And here's the receipts.
Just a second. Shh.
Oops, sorry.
Do you have a Milwaukee hammer drill of his?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Craftsman saw, old model?
No,
What
I
is
do
that?
not.
3 plastic drop cloths? 5 company shirts? And 3 plastic containers? Are you kidding me or what?
No. Those are the things that were given to him from the company, as well as,
listen,
if you will continue.
listen to me. He lends you his credit card. It's in the hole. You didn't pay him for January, February, March, April. I assume you're not going to make payments for May, June. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Pay your brother the money. $3,092.30. Be ridiculous, sir.
Why would, see, now, from a business point of view, when your employee, when you loan him company, materials, equipment, $900 worth of company equipment and materials.
I didn't see $900 there.
I have all the receipts here
I
to
didn't
show
see
you.
$900 there.
When an employee walks out and he won't return your phone calls, I have had a police officer call him. I've had my lawyer call him to settle this thing.
Who called you, sir, to get his $3,092.30 back?
There was never a call stating that.
I've written letters even. I have copies of the letters here.
Yes, he mentioned that he would like to have this credit card paid. We agreed with him 100%. We would do it when we could.
When you could? What kind of a response is that? I'll pay it when I can. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,092.30. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. At the back door to your right, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm beyond disappointed. It was my brother. Yes, he did help us out. We have never said anything that we wouldn't. But he walked out stealing equipment and tools from the company, and he would not return them.
It was his responsibility, and he stopped communicating with us as of 1/5. I think it's very sad that it's come to this between the brothers. They were very close.
I didn't want to take him to court because he is family, but I didn't have any choice. He left me no choice.
It's funny if I would have been asked.
I know.
versus Leventhal. Step forward, please.
42-year-old social worker Susan Leventhal is suing her ex-husband, 45-year-old Dr. Jerry Leventhal, for not paying medical and dental bills for their son, Aaron. Dr. Leventhal is countersuing his ex-wife for not allowing him to see his children.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 68 on the calendar in the matter of Leventhal versus Leventhal. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have seats.
Mrs. Leventhal, you were married to Dr. Leventhal for 20 years?
Yes, ma'am.
This is your son?
Yes, this is Aaron.
Would you please ask Aaron to wait outside?
Sure thing, Judge.
Thank you.
Come this way.
I never think it's a good idea, Mrs. Leventhal, to have children in a courtroom, especially when their parents are bickering. They should not be involved in this action at all. You have 2 children.
Yes, ma'am.
Your lawsuit complains of the fact that pursuant to your judgment of divorce, your former husband was supposed to pay for medical and dental coverage and unreimbursed medical and dental bills for both yourself for a short period of time and your children until they're 18, and that he has failed to do so, and that your accumulated bills for both orthodontic work, which was $3,000 some odd dollars, and unreimbursed bills, brings the total up to close to $5,000. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go back. When were you divorced?
December 30th, 1996.
And do you have a copy of the judgment of divorce?
I do.
Bert, can I have it, please? I'd like to take a look at it. Thank you.
Section 10.
Okay. So, Dr. Leventhal, you do not deny that this states, husbands shall provide health insurance for the benefit of the minor children. Have you maintained that health insurance, sir, up until today's date?
I have, Your Honor.
And have you maintained health insurance for your former wife? You're required to do that for 3 years.
I have procured quotes from 3 different insurance agencies and have notified her attorney that she has to make application and get physical examination. And
Dr. Leventhal, the answer is you have not.
Yes, ma'am, I have, but it's up to Mrs. Leventhal now in order to get a physical exam and make an application.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Don't try to fool Mother Nature. It's a very bad thing, sir. So the answer is you have not complied with the terms of this with regard to her.
My family had health insurance when I was terminated from my original position in Orlando as part of my termination package, which Ms. Leventhal was essentially responsible for, okay? She continued to use cards from the previous insurer to acquire medical care.
No. Let's stop dancing around. Right now, there is no coverage for your wife. Is that right?
Because she has not gotten a physical examination.
No, you said
or
to
an
me,
application.
come on, Dr. Leventhal.
Your Honor,
I want to get to the point, sir. You say that you've gotten quotes. You were supposed to have insurance in place for her at the time of the judgment of divorce. I'm not going to waste any more time on this because I'm moving on to other things.
This has already been heard in court. I've not been found in contempt for that.
That's not what we're here for. I'm not here to find you in contempt. Unfortunately, I do not have contempt powers. I'm going to try to do something about that. In any event, we have orthodontic bills. Now, which child had orthodontic work, Mrs. Leventhal?
Our older son, Aaron, who was just here, we both agreed in 1995, before Dr. Leventhal left our house on domestic violence, that the 3 of us sat down, saw a film, agreed he would have braces on his teeth. He was to have them off before his bar mitzvah at his 13th birthday, which he did not get. The original cost was $3,080, which was a bargain for an orthodontist in Orlando, Florida. Over the last 2 years, the amount has incurred to almost $3,300, of which I've been paying $5 a week on my already limited income.
Just a second. Let's talk about the orthodonture. Dr. Leventhal, you think that this lady who is your wife, the mother of your 2 children, you think she put braces on your oldest child just to irritate you? Dr. Leventhal, you think she put the braces on the kid just to irritate you?
I don't know, Your Honor. She does a lot of things to irritate me.
You're a smart man. Come on, you're a smart man.
I really can't answer that question because my ex-wife has never, ever called me about any medical problems or dental problems with my children. The only thing she did was show up 2 weeks after she had me removed from the home at my office to show me that my son had braces on. I never saw a referral. I never heard from a dentist that he needed braces.
Dr. Leventhal, you went to medical school for 4 years. You did an internship. You did a residency. What's your specialty?
Family practice.
Okay. You saw your son?
Not really.
No. What do you mean you didn't see him? You grew up with him. You left the house. He was, what, 11 years old?
I never needed braces. My children's teeth looked fine when I left the house.
So what you're telling me is you think that your wife put braces on your son Aaron just to irritate you?
I think it's a possibility.
Let me see the orthodontic stuff, please.
The orthodontics and dental bill from our dentist.
I mean, all these were done out of network, Your Honor.
No,
what do you mean they were done out of network?
They were done without referral. They were done out of the network of the HMO, out of the dental insurance.
Sir, I read your answer very carefully. Your counterclaim says a variety of things. One, it's outside the HMO. Two, the HMO doesn't pay for orthodontic work, and if they do, they only pay for part of the orthodontic work. And three, if all of the above don't sound good to you, Judge, I filed for bankruptcy in 1997 in order to alleviate the bills, and all these medical bills were supposed to be covered in the bankruptcy in order to help your wife. Am I crazy, or is that what you said?
That's partly what I said.
Yeah, that's what you said. So you said, if I should have paid for this and if I should have paid for that, well, I cleared it all up because I filed for bankruptcy. Did you file for bankruptcy?
Not just to cover the medical bills. The day after I left the house, she bought a $2,000 computer and a $7,500 piano, things that I really couldn't afford.
The majority of the medical bills in question were included in the discharge under Chapter 7.
Some of them were, that's correct.
That's what you wrote in your answer.
Some of them were, that's correct.
How could you file for bankruptcy, sir?
Because I couldn't afford what Mrs. Leventhal was doing with a credit card, with dental expenses, with medical. I couldn't afford that.
Well,
she wasn't using.
Just a second.
She wasn't using network HMO providers.
How much did you pay for medical and dental stuff, sir? Show me your bills, paid receipts, checks. At the time that you filed for bankruptcy, show me how much you paid for medical and dental.
Medical and dental as far as what? I mean,
as far as your children.
My insurance?
No, not your insurance. You just said to me you filed for bankruptcy because of all the medical and dental bills that you had to pay.
I couldn't pay because I couldn't afford to pay. She's getting $43,000 of my income.
Just a second. So you didn't pay. Dr. Leventhal.
I paid the health insurance, Your Honor. Okay, the health insurance covers medical expenses. When she goes outside the health insurance, it's her responsibility. It does not become my responsibility.
Doesn't say that here, sir.
That's what she was doing. She was going to a group called Psychological Affiliates. She was going to a psychiatrist.
I'm not talking about psychiatrists. I'm talking about braces. Let's not dance around what we're talking about here. We're talking about braces.
Medical, dental.
Did you pay for the braces?
No, I did not.
You got to pay for the braces, sir.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
At that point, my former husband proceeded to tell me to get out. He said, I'm not giving you any money. His partner threw $25 at me and said, if you don't leave this office, I'll have you arrested in front of the children.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Leventhal says her ex-husband, Dr. Jerry Leventhal, owes her medical and dental bills for their son. Dr. Leventhal claims he has a restraining order against his former wife for stalking him.
You're going to pay the bill for the dentist because you can dance around all you like and you can file for all the bankruptcies you like, but I'm telling you, you are responsible for your child's orthodontia. And the bill's up till this point to $3,300 for that because that's what this says you have to be responsible for, not her. You live in the same town.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I know that sounds painful to you, but let me tell you something, Mrs. Leventhal, you picked him. For good, for bad, you made two children with him. He's the father of your children. And if you do anything to demean him in front of his children, and just listen to me very carefully, madam, if you do anything to demean him in front of his children, that negatively impacts on his children. I don't care what that does to make you feel better, and I don't care if you think that hurts him. What it does is say to the children, my father is worthless, therefore I'm worthless. Now, I assume that you would not think of doing that. I assume you wouldn't. Dr. Leventhal, trust me, sir. I'm very smart. Why did your son go to his office 2 weeks after you separated?
Your Honor, we had discussed having the braces put on. As I said, as a family, we saw the video.
I heard that already. I'm not interested in the video. My question is a specific one, Mrs. Leventhal. Why did your son go to your husband's office 2 weeks after you separated?
We were separated, and my older son wanted his dad to see the braces on his teeth.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me what happened when he came to your office 2 weeks after you separated?
Mrs. Leventhal had called and said she was coming, and I said this wasn't a good time. We just finished our day. It was during the Christmas season. We had planned on having the office Christmas party at that time, and I didn't think it was a good time. We were on totally opposite sides of town at rush hour traffic, and...
What happened when he got there?
She started walking through the office, screaming up and down the halls, making a scene in front of my...
Saying what?
Your child needed braces, you have to pay for it, this is what your son's going to be in for the next 18 months, and, you know, you're going to pay for it.
Okay, so that's what the visit was to your office 2 weeks later.
If you want to call it a visit, yes.
Now, Mrs. Leventhal, do you want to tell me what happened at that visit to the office?
Yes, ma'am. We called my husband at the time to let him know that he had just had his braces put on, and the son wanted to see him. We had been separated for 2 weeks since he had been removed from our house on domestic violence.
You already said that 4 times. You think I didn't hear you the first time?
I said it twice. So we went. He saw his son. At that...
Just a second. Step by step, what happened?
I did not make a scene. I came in. My former husband was in the kitchen of the office. He had a partner there. My sons, both of my sons were present. They wanted to see their father. They showed their dad their braces. At that point, my former husband proceeded to tell me to get out. His partner told me to get out. I said, I haven't seen you. You haven't provided any money for us for spending since we're separated. He said, I'm not giving you any money. His partner threw $25 at me and said, if you don't leave this office, I'll have you arrested in front of the children.
Mrs. Leventhal, why did you feel as if it was necessary to take your 2 sons to his office to ask for money?
Because he was not providing any money when he left the house.
I think that you should absolutely have sought money. My question to you, madam, is why did you take your 2 sons with you when you went to his office to ask him for money?
Well, I did not take him there specifically to ask him for money. As I said, my sons wanted to see their father, and Aaron had just had braces put on.
I'll tell you like I told your husband. Stupid isn't written here. I've been in this business a very long time. Caring parents who have just suffered a separation, especially, as you told me, at least twice, because of domestic violence, do not involve their children by taking them to a business and saying, I need money, with the children there. That is not what a caring parent does. That's what an angry parent might do. But that's not what a caring parent does. You were wrong. Do you understand that you were wrong?
I understand what you're saying, Your Honor, but I did not take them there to make a scene. I did not take them there to ask for money, and I hope that
you shouldn't have asked for money. If you took them there merely to see their father, because that's what they wanted to do, your boys weren't babies. You sit in the car, you let your 2 boys go in and see their father, show them their braces, and come out. So you made a big mistake.
Your Honor, my children have lived through this, and they have learned to heal and learn how to adapt through habitual intemperance. We have an order that stands in Florida, Seminole County, that the children are to be heard. Now, I don't take my children in frivolously just to hear of the things that his father and I have to go through. And I am a caring parent. What in the world, what kind of gobbledygook did you just tell me?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You haven't seen your kids in a while? That's a shame.
He choked them.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Susan Leventhal wants her ex-husband, Dr. Jerry Leventhal, to pay her for her son's medical and dental bills. Dr. Leventhal wants his former wife to stop stalking him and let him see his children.
What kind of gobbledygook did you just tell me? The children have to be heard where? Where?
In the court. There.
We're not talking about the children being heard in court, madam. I absolutely believe that children should be heard in court if there is an issue. That's why children are appointed law guardians or guardians ad litem, so that the children can be represented.
Your Honor, we do have a guardian ad litem,
Listen,
and this
just
is a
a minute.
recommendation.
Do I look like I need help? I haven't finished with you on the money yet, sir. I'll get back to you on the money. This is about emotions and about money. You don't want to pay the money.
I never said I didn't want to pay the money.
That's clear. Listen, you don't want to pay the money. I can assure you that the other people that you discharged their debts in bankruptcy when you filed Chapter 7, sir, are not thrilled with you. Because I guarantee you, as a doctor, there will be a time in a year, 2 years, 5 years, when you'll be making a lot of money. And if you wanted to be an honorable person, what you do is you say to these other creditors, look, I have a business where I'm going to make a couple $100,000 a year. Give me 5 years or so. Give me 3 years, and I'm going to pay you off as best I can. Instead, you took the easy way out. You filed for Chapter 7, so you discharged a lot of your debts in bankruptcy. Don't shake your head. No, because that's what you did.
I discharged debts that she rung up.
Just a second.
A month after I got my position.
Oh, please. Dr. Leventhal, she may have good reason to be irritated with you, and I don't care what her reasons are to be irritated with you. What I'm hearing, madam, is emotionally, you're not doing the right thing for your kids. From bringing them to court, to sending them to his office with you. Please, Mrs. Leventhal, I've been involved in family court for 26 years. You think that this story is one that I've just heard once? Let's get going. Now, Mrs. Leventhal, does your former husband have a restraining order against you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, when was that restraining order issued?
July the 1st, 1997.
And it was issued by a judge?
Yes.
Did you have a trial on it?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a lawyer representing you?
I did, and we objected without any testimony, without any evidence, and I had an restraint.
Can I see the final order, please?
May I help him? I put his papers together.
I know it's somewhere in here.
Your Honor.
Is that final order?
No, this is a motion to ask.
I'm not asking for your motion. I'm asking for an order. And if an order hasn't been overturned, and I assume it has not,
we are going back to court tomorrow.
The answer is no, it has not. So it is in full force and effect, and it was issued a while ago.
July 1st, 1997.
That's right. The court, having heard testimony from the parties with regard to the issues of the husband's motion, the following is hereby ordered: that the former wife, that's you, shall not assault, molest, annoy, injure, threaten, stalk, or interfere with the former husband. You are restrained from going to his place of residence or place of employment, contacting employees or other physicians in the former husband's medical practice, have to stay more than 100 yards away from him. You can call him only for emergencies between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. And on and on and on and on and on.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Need help in a divorce dispute? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Did you take your 2 children to his bankruptcy hearing? Did you take your 2 children to his bankruptcy hearing?
No, I took them to court, but I did not take them into a bankruptcy hearing. No, ma'am.
Why did you take them to court?
Because he filed out of Orlando, Florida. I had to be present as a creditor all the way in Jacksonville, Florida. I had no one to take care of my children. My children were not present in a bankruptcy hearing.
You took your children to court?
Your Honor, children in America watch court every day.
Oh, Mrs. Leventhal,
showing no disrespect.
Mrs. Leventhal, I mean, I'm reading these things, and certain of them are pretty standard. But what I'm talking about is the children. I'm talking about demeaning their father. And you say you don't do that.
No, ma'am.
Dr. Leventhal, let me tell you this, sir. Listen to me carefully.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to me carefully. All you have to do is pay the money. You haven't seen your kids in a while?
July 12th was the last time I saw them, Your Honor.
That's a shame.
He choked them.
The conclusion of the case between Susan Leventhal and her ex-husband, Dr. Jerry Leventhal, will continue tomorrow on Judge Judy.
Versus Kelly. Step forward, please.
21-year-old legal secretary Jessica Melroy wants 24-year-old escort service rep Heather Kelly to pay her for babysitting.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 11 on the calendar in the matter of Melroy versus Kelly. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
You hired her to do some babysitting for you.
Yes.
And she did work for you for a few days.
Yes, about a week and a half.
And you didn't pay her?
I paid her for the first week, and I didn't pay her for the second 4 days that she did do for me.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody works for you, you have to pay them. Why didn't you pay her?
Because she didn't do the job.
Well, okay, so the first week she came to work for you, you paid her.
Yes.
And she did what she was supposed to?
Not all the way, but most.
That's not true.
And
Yes,
the
it is.
following week she started when, on a Monday?
Yes.
And were you satisfied with her work on Monday?
Monday was okay.
So why didn't you pay her for Monday?
I paid her for the first week.
I understand that. Forget the first week. The first week we're clear on.
Gone. Okay.
Monday she came, she worked for you, and it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Monday.
That's what she said.
Now let's go to Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Did she work on Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
And did she perform her job on Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay.
But can I
Tuesday.
say something?
Sure.
She wasn't taking him to the park like the agreement was. The agreement was she was supposed to be taking my son to the park every single day while
Kelly?
I slept.
Miss Kelly?
Yes.
Did she take your son to the park on Monday?
Yes.
Did she take your son to the park on Tuesday?
I think so.
Good. Okay, Monday, okay, Tuesday. Let's go to Wednesday. Did she work on Wednesday?
Yes.
And was she okay on Wednesday?
No.
What happened on Wednesday?
She didn't take him to the park.
Did you fire her on Wednesday?
No, I didn't fire her at all.
When she came back to work on Thursday, did you tell her she was no longer in your employ because she wasn't doing her job?
She worked on Thursday. And
Just
she
a
did.
second.
Okay.
So you did, in fact, have her work on Thursday. Okay, Wednesday. And she worked on Thursday. Yes, a yes.
Yes.
Okay, Thursday. Why didn't you pay her?
She didn't take him to the park.
That's not an excuse.
That's what I paid her for.
Just a second. Then if she wasn't taking your son to the park, madam, then what you do is you say, you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I am letting you go, and I will pay you for the days that you worked, but I'm not paying you for any other time. But you can't have her work for you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then say, I don't like what you did, so therefore I'm not paying you. Now, what was the payment arrangement? How much were you supposed to be making?
I was supposed to be getting $100 a week.
For how many days?
From Monday through Friday, and it was 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
How much were you paid the first week that you worked?
$100.
Did you pay her $100 the first week?
Yes, and she didn't do her job the right way the first week either.
Then you let her go, madam. Don't you understand that, Miss Kelly? If she's not doing her job, especially taking care of your children, you fire her.
I thought I would give her a chance. I needed a babysitter. I had to sleep at night.
Well, that's not her fault.
In the
She's not
morning,
related to you by blood, so she worked 4 days the second week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you go into work on Friday?
No.
Why not?
Because she called me on Thursday night and told me that her friend was taking her son for the day.
Okay. And you said you wanted to get paid?
And yes, and she said that I could come and get my pay on Friday, that I was only going to be getting like $80. And then I confronted her about the making $100 a week on our agreement, and she said, well, since you're not paying, or since you're not working on Friday, then I'm not going to pay you for Friday.
Okay, I got it. I got the whole story. Now, you say that you also don't feel as if you should pay her because her boyfriend kicked your door.
Her husband, yes.
Her husband kicked your door when they came for the money?
But she came Thursday night. The agreement was for her to come on Friday.
I don't care.
Okay.
That has really nothing
That's
to do with
fine.
this. The husband kicked your door. Did he damage your door?
Yes, and I have pictures of it.
Good. Sue him. Sue him for damaging your door. Meanwhile, you have to pay her $100. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff for $100. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Gardner versus Ivy. Step forward, please.
27-year-old business owner Catherine Gardner says 38-year-old Daniel Ivy stole her car and trashed it. Daniel says he abandoned the car because he was under the influence of drugs.
Some convoluted story about how he stole your car and trashed it. He says he did no such thing. You want to tell me about this? How did you meet him? How did he come into possession of your car? Because quite frankly, I couldn't figure out from your complaint and from your answer what this case was all about, other than that it was about a car. Go.
Dan was a friend of my fiance. This is him.
You can come up.
Yeah, Your Honor, me and Dan became friends several months before this incident happened. He was having trouble in the Portland area, living at one of my rental properties, and we got to know each other and become friends. And
what kind of trouble was he having?
Difficulties staying clean and sober. And so he's living in one of my houses with some other clean and sober people.
And I actually lived in a loft that Dan owned. I was going to be moving to Bend in like a month, and he offered a really good deal on his loft. And so I was staying there, and he happened to be over in Portland. And his trustee called me, and he said, Dan needs a place to stay tonight because he's catching a bus back to Bend tomorrow. Can Dan stay there? And I felt like, this is his place, and so I said, sure, that's no problem. So Dan got there, and he was acting really funny, and he really wanted to go to the store to get laundry detergent. He just kept saying, just take me to the store, just take me to the store, and I was like, no, it's 11 o'clock, I have to go to work in the morning, I'm not gonna take you to the store. And he kept on, so finally I said, here, Dan, just take my keys and go to the store and come right back. And I didn't see him for 9 days.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you think you just answered my question, sir?
I'm not sure.
What kind of business are you in?
I'm a mortgage broker.
Mortgage broker. Fast talker.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Gardner wants Daniel Ivy to pay for damages to her car and items taken from it. Daniel says she gave him the car to use, but he left it because he was under the influence.
So what happened at the end of 9 days?
The police found the car, and Dan went to the police station, gave him a statement, and said that he took the car. And I went to the car, and the windows were all down, the battery was dead. The car was trashed inside. I had a bunch of stuff in there. I had bags of stuff that as I was moving over to Bend, so I had bags of clothes and different things, and almost all that was gone. Stuff was strung out all over the car. There were needles in the car, bleach stains on the seat, on the door panel, on the floor.
Show me.
The bleach stains?
Show me pictures, show me reports, show me something.
I just have an estimate for the damage for the bleach, but I don't have any pictures.
Show me the estimate for the whole thing.
We do have one of the needles, Your Honor.
You can't show me a needle, sir. Tell me. You didn't find the needle in the car?
It was found in the skin.
You didn't find it in the car?
No, Your Honor.
I turned the vehicle in because there was so much engine damage to it, and I had a $700 a month lease on the vehicle, and I couldn't afford to get it fixed, so I just turned it in on my lease.
So what are your damages?
Well, I owe the lease company $9,000 because they weren't able to sell the vehicle for the amount that it was worth because the engine was completely destroyed.
Well, they're going to fix it. I mean, you don't owe them $9,000. They have to mitigate their damages.
If they fix it, though, they still have to pay that, and I still owe it. I owe for whatever the damage is to the car when I turn it in at the end of the lease.
Let me see the papers on that. Well, this gives you 3 different options. One of them is you may qualify for up to 50% settlement depending on the creditor you owe. Show me the papers where you turned in the vehicle.
I don't have anything. I just went and dropped it off, and I signed a little thing, but...
Well, how do I know you turned in the vehicle? All these papers say is you didn't pay your lease. Doesn't say you turned in your vehicle.
May I comment, Your Honor? I spoke to the collection company that was trying to collect that amount. The reason that the vehicle was turned back in was the motor damage, the interior damage, all the damage to the vehicle amounted to over $5,000. And it was not possible for her to come up with $5,000 to fix the vehicle. It was a $700 a month payment. She had no working vehicle. So her decision was to turn it in and just suffer the consequences with the lease company rather than not have a working vehicle and make $700 a month payments.
Do you think you just answered my question, sir?
I'm not sure.
Hey, you talked a lot. What kind of business are you in? What kind of business are you in?
I'm a mortgage broker.
Mortgage broker. Fast talker. What I said was, where are the papers that you turned in the car? You gave me a whole song and dance. I'm not interested in why she turned in the car. I said, where are the papers that you turned in the car? So the answer is, I don't have them.
Correct.
Correct.
Mortgage broker. You've been very quiet.
Thank you.
Your side of the story, the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Let's go.
Okay.
No, over here, sir. Not at your paper.
Okay.
Right here.
Miss Gardner was staying at my loft, and after having gone out to dinner with some friends of theirs, we went back to the loft, and Kathy had asked if I would try to get a six-pack of beer somewhere, and I left on foot and didn't have my identification with me, and I came back empty-handed. Therefore, Kathy hesitated, but offered me the keys to her car, and plus $20 to satisfy myself with whatever that may be, and I said that may not be enough, whereupon she had given me another $20, and I left, telling her that I'd be back soon, only to have spent several hours down the street from my place, and not being able to be in any kind of shape to get in the car, let alone drive a car anywhere, back to the loft. And Kathy had a cell phone, and I didn't have the number to that. And so I was stuck, and I'd spent the nights down the street, and then in the morning...
Down the street where?
Where I bought these drugs and the beer, and I woke up the next day, and there was ice on the street, enough so that I really couldn't move it, and then not again having her cell number, I couldn't have reached her, and ended up later that afternoon over at a friend's house, maybe 30 miles away, and that's what happened.
Okay, Mr. Rivey, how old are you, sir?
38.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Jim Winston. I'm a friend of Dan's, a family friend.
Just a friend. You're not the trustee.
No, I work with the trustee, though, currently.
You have a trust account?
Yes.
And that's what you support yourself from?
Yes.
Set up by your parents?
Yes.
They were smart. Right?
Yes, they were.
Oh. How long have you had a drug problem?
2.25 years.
Before that?
Not much history of any problem with drugs.
Had you been working before that?
No, I wasn't.
What were you doing?
I was attending Portland State. I was a student.
Till you were 36?
About the last 3 years, I was attending Portland State.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You look like an intelligent young man. You're a nice-looking young man. And if you don't get rid of this problem that you have, you're going to die on the street.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Catherine Gardner says she was helping Daniel Ivey, loaning him her car. She's suing him for damaging the car, stealing items from it, and not returning the car.
Mr. Ivey, I listened to your testimony. The truth is, I believe what you tell me, which is totally different from what you wrote in your answer.
Oh. How so?
It's just a different story, sir.
Okay.
It's a different story. You're responsible for what happened to her car. I mean,
Well-
the fact that you didn't have her cell phone number, the fact that she took the car and there was ice on the road, and that you got smashed out on drugs, and then all of that is not an excuse for damaging her car. I mean, what's the excuse?
Well, I guess there isn't really one.
Okay. Step up here, sir. I want to ask a couple of questions.
Yes.
What's the name of the trustee?
William Kretzmeyer. He's an attorney in Portland, Oregon.
And you work for him?
Yes, past 2 months.
In what capacity?
I'm a counselor for Dan, helping him with some of his difficulties, problems, being a personal assistant. I'm trying to get Dan to go in the direction he needs to go. Basically what I do is I try to help him to learn, to structure his environment so there aren't temptations, so he doesn't get in trouble. And I think, you know, slowly but surely we're getting on top of this a bit. What frustrates me about this whole thing, I've known Dan since before this incident. When a person is trying to overcome a drug problem, you don't leave drugs on the table, you don't leave money on the table, you don't leave car keys on the table, you don't give him car keys, you don't do these things. He's there for a clean and sober house. The things you do and you don't do to help a person. That's what I do now. And
what training have you had, sir, and where specifically in order to give this gentleman your advice?
I have a Bachelor of Science in Psychology with honors from the University of Oregon, Phi Beta Kappa. I spent a year in graduate school in clinical psychology. I've run a support group for various sorts of issues for the past 5 years. A lot of just firsthand experience of these type of things. Maybe I have a little bit of a knack for it. To me, directing a person towards some of the positive influences and protecting a person in Dan's situation away from some of these influences is just common sense. That's what he needs. And I'm going to give it my best shot, but that has nothing to do with what happened last fall.
Mr. Ivey.
Yes.
Let me give you some good advice. Unless you are in a full-time residential drug treatment program, full-time, starting with a year, 18 months, you're going to die on the street. Because if you have a long-term drug problem, you've got to change the whole way you see the world, and you can't do that until your body is totally and completely cleansed and the habit of drugs is removed. And that doesn't happen for a long time. That's been my experience. Now, I will tell you that I've been criticized for these comments because people say, well, you can do it on an outpatient basis and you can still stay home and do what you have to do. First of all, you don't have to stay home because you don't have to work and support a family. You're in the very fortunate position of having money coming in so that you have no dependents, I assume. Is that right?
That's right.
So the truth of the matter is, if you put yourself in an inpatient program for 18 months, nobody's going to miss you.
No.
Right?
That's right.
And you may be able,
May.
But that's the only shot you have.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
This is all a very nice, soft thing that this gentleman is talking about. You know, changing your everyday routine, changing your environment, and making sure not to leave the car keys on the table. All that's very nice. But the truth of the matter is that has to be in your head. So if you're smart, take some of the money that you have coming in every month. Find out the best in the country. Make your trustee pay for it. Sign yourself in and write me a letter. And say, I'm here 6 months, I feel a lot better. Because you look like an intelligent young man, you're a nice-looking young man, and if you don't get rid of this problem that you have, you're going to die. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
We got frustrated and figured there's got to be consequences for these kind of actions, so that's how we ended up in court. You got to be careful of your things. You know, if you reach your hand out to help, you need to be careful. I think Dan's a good person. I hope he gets the help he needs.
Dan is often put in the way of things, and people need to help him stay clear, not put trouble in front of him.
I have to agree with